embodiment of all the rasas. He's like the moon, because the moon gives ras, it gives flavor to everything. So just as the moon is in the sky surrounded by different constellations of stars, so you have Chama, Lalita, the Tara and Palika. These are different nakshastras around the moon. So it says here, by the effulgence of his body, he's brought under his control Taraka and Pali. These are two gopis. And he has influence over Shamala and Lalita, but he himself is under the control of the love of Radha. And the reason why these four gopis have been mentioned in Chandravala and Radharani is because the idea is that Taraka, she's a Vipaksh, Pali is a Tatastha Paksh, then Shama is Surik Paksh, and then Lalita is Swapaksh, Radharani's own group, and then Radharani. So the idea is that Prem has different varieties, and because he's Rasik Shekhar, he's tasting all the different types of love. Just like in Rasa Leela, when Krishna reappears, Tasamavir Butchuri Smayamani Makamaja. So one gopi comes forward and takes his feet and takes them in her lap. Another gopi gives him betel, pan in his mouth. Another gopi puts his arm on her shoulder, like this. Another gopi is just standing unblinking. And another gopi is far away and, just shooting you with a glance like this. So you have here the first gopi who came very submissively was Chandravali. And then the one who gave betel was Badra, I think. And then Shamala is the one, she's getting closer to Radharani's mood. To get his arm and just throw it on her own shoulder, they become more and more pushy as you get closer to Radharani's mood. It was Vishaka who was looking at him with unblinking eyes but not going near him. And Radharani who was shooting him with the arrow of her glance. And so this Prem, you have on the one side the bhav, Krishna, I am yours. And that's Chandravali's side, that's called Grita Sneha. And on the other side, the other extreme ends, you have Krishna, you're mine. And that's Madhu Sneha. So the reason they're being called honey and ghee is because Chandravali's love is like ghee, because ghee, if you keep it in a cool place, it goes more condensed, it becomes hard. So when Chandravali is with Krishna, when it's very dignified and there's a lot of respect between them, it's intimate, but then she does everything in a very graceful way, in a very polite way, then this love becomes more intense. But Radharani's love is like honey, because honey, when you heat it, instead of it melting like ghee, it becomes harder. So when Radharani's love is more hot, it's more fiery, it's more impetuous. And the more impetuous it becomes, the thicker and strong it becomes as well. Another thing is that ghee, usually people don't eat ghee. You take the ghee and you put it on something else, and when it's on something else, then it becomes very tasty. So similarly, the Stai Bhav, which is in Grita Sneha, is not particularly tasty on its own. When it's mixed with the Sanchari Bhavs, 33 types of Sanchari Bhavs, then it starts to be flavorful. Whereas honey tastes great just by itself. In fact, because the honey is the bee went to so many flowers, already it has so many flavors in the honey without even mixing anything with it. So the Madhu Sneha is like that. And so the Madhu Sneha very much controls Krishna. There's one song where Lalita's saying to Radharani, said, Radharani, listen to my advice. I want to tell you something. If a man is Bahu Vallabha Priya, he's dear to many lovers. Then he's not so attracted to the heroine who's submissive. You see? Because if he can easily get anyone, then those who are very easy to get, they're not such a challenge to him anymore, like that. So Lalita gives advice to Radharani, listen, take my advice, be contrary with him. Don't agree to what he says if you want to be happy, like this. And so when the gopis, they see each other interacting with Krishna, for example, Chandravali is sitting and Krishna is approaching and some Sakis of Radharani are watching. So as Krishna is coming, Chandravali, she stands up with folded arms and then she offers Krishna a seat. And the friends of Radharani are laughing, oh, what are they doing? They have no love at all because their conception of love is different. Yeah? And then when the Sakis of Chandravali see Krishna's approaching Radharani, and Radharani and Sakis look at each other and say, pretend he's not here. And they keep talking. And they pretend he's not there, and he comes and sits down by her. And she looks the other way. And then the Sakis and Chandravali are looking and saying, what is this? They have no love at all. So because their swabhavs are different, then the way that they feel about love and the way that they serve Krishna is different. But of the two types, the Madhusneha of Radharani is more powerfully controls Krishna. And so just as the Sthayi Bhav develops through the stages of Prem, Sneha, Man, Pranay, Rag, Anurag, Bhav, Mahabhav, etc. So from Madhusneha comes a different type of Man. It's called Udata Man, or Bhamya Gandha Man. The Man that only has a... Yeah, but Bhamya Gandha Man. It's man, but it only has a slight smell of contrariness in it.
Vam.
Yeah.
As in vam.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a bit Bengali accent, Bhamya, but Vam in Sanskrit, yeah. And whereas Radharani's the man will have extreme contrariness in it. Rupa Goswami gives the example that that Radharani saw Krishna, and due to sneha, which makes you weep, immediately tears were flowing from her eyes. So then Krishna, then Radharani, because Man came, she wanted to hide it. So she said, Krishna, your cows are kicking up too much dust here. And then Krishna came close to Radharani's face and began to blow on her eyes, because the eyes become hot and itchy from the dust. So he's, and Radharani tells, oh, that's enough of your fake love. What good will it do for me? So she feels his love, and it's true and everything, but when her sneha becomes more thick and becomes man, it's very openly expressed as contrariness. So what happens is, naturally, birds of a feather flock together. No? All devotees are here. Why? We like a rasikatha. We are flocked together because we like a rasikatha. Like this. So in the same way, so among the gopis, as they're growing up, they gravitate to the ones who have a similar mood like that, who have a similar understanding. And that's naturally how the pakshas come about. The pakshas come about like this. And because Krishna's the connoisseur of rasa, if he only tasted the Radhika's paksh, the Madhu Sneha, he wouldn't be Rasik Shekhar. He also tastes the Mrita Sneha and all the types of love in between. So what you have is the paksh, the group of gopis who are friendly to Radharani but neutral to Chandravali. They have Madhu Sneha and Grita Sneha, but the proportion of their Madhu Sneha is more than their Grita Sneha. And then the ones who are Tatastha, neutral to Radharani but friendly to Chandravali, they have Madhu Sneha and Grita Sneha, but the proportion of Grita Sneha is more. And that's why. So how they become divided into the pakshas and why they're friendly and against and supporting and everything, this is all down to the swabhav of each one. So it's said that the Surit paksh, they approve of the meeting of the Swapaksh with Krishna. They approve. The Tatastha paksh, they're neutral. They don't approve or disapprove. But the Vipaksh actually do activities to sabotage the plans of their opposite paksh. Huh? You see? So that would include things like they would train their parrots. If their parrot sees Krishna going to meet with Radharani or vice versa, that their parrot should fly immediately to Radharani's mother-in-law's house. And the parrot will tell, just say, I saw Radha, she's meeting with Krishna, and freak out Radharani's mother-in-law, so she'll set out to find her. So there are different ways. There's another example. Like once, Radharani, she made a beautiful garland. She made a beautiful garland for Krishna, and she gave it to him. And Krishna, when he left, he was so happy, and he cherished this garland so much he couldn't toss it. He thought, I'll take a bath in the river, and he took it off and hung it on a tree while he was taking bath. So while he was taking bath, then a friend of Chandravali came and stole the garland. And then she went back to Chandravali, and then she wove it into Chandravali's hair. And then that Saki went to Lalita and said, oh Lalita, Radharani's friend, look at the beautiful garland in my Saki's hair. Then Lalita flipped, because Lalita is explosive. She's Pragalba. She's 27 days older than Radharani. And she's extremely Pragalba. So then Lalita, Saki flips and tells Radharani. Then Radharani goes in man. Then Krishna shows up to see Radharani, and he's in trouble, and he has no idea why. You see? So in that way, they've sabotaged the meeting. And Radharani doesn't know that they've done it. Krishna doesn't know that they've done it. Krishna doesn't know what he's done. Radharani thinks she knows what he's done, but he hasn't. You know, and in this way it becomes prema kalaha, loving quarrel. Then Krishna, through so many ways, will have to pacify the man of Radharani. So then when Radha and Krishna meet, it becomes a different type of sambhog. Because sambhog, there are four mukhya types of sambhog. The first one is called Sankship Sambhog, and it means a brief type of meeting. And that's like Radha Krishna's Pratama Samagama. Their first meeting, because it's all very new, and because of some shyness and some respect for Krishna, she hasn't got that close yet. It's not fully developed as it will be later as they get a little older. So then you have Sankirtan Sambhog. Sankirtan Sambhog means Radharani is in Man and she has evidence that Krishna has been meeting with another gopi. So they meet together. But when they meet, it's said that the Sankirtan Sambhog is like drinking boiling hot sugarcane juice. Why? Because when you drink hot sugarcane juice, you taste it, it's so hot it's burning you, but it's so sweet you can't spit it out. So in this, that's called tapta ikshu, hot cane juice. So when Radharani meets with Krishna after being in Man, on the one hand, she can't say no because he's irresistible and he's too sweet, but at the same time there's a burning in that sambhog. So then that time when Radharani speaks to Krishna, then her lips are there's a tear in her eyes. Her lips are trembling. And she said, Karalika Naptri Krida Karanga. Karalika means Chandravali's grandmother. Her name is Karalika. She's from the village of Karela. And Naptri is granddaughter. So Karalika Naptri means Chandravali. And Krida Karanga means, like a princess has a deer on a leash, that she walks with a pet deer on a leash. So Radharani, even though she's embracing Krishna, but she calls him Karalika Naptri Krida Karanga. You're a pet deer on the leash of the granddaughter of Karalika, like this. So she's attracted to his sweetness. She can't give him up, but her heart is burning at the same time. And when Krishna hears those words of Radha, her lips trembling, and her abuse, but at the same time loving him, then this is a kind of rasa. It's a special kind. You see, so the four main types of separation: man, praying by chitya, pravas, long separation for a long time, and purvarag. From the four types of separation comes the vaichitrata, or the varieties, four types of meeting. After purvarag, there's sankship sambhog. After man, there's sankirtan sambhog. After kinchit durpravas, only being a little far away, then there's sampanna sambhog. Like when Krishna appeared in Rasalila, he wasn't far away, he just disappeared. They didn't know where he was, but then he appeared. So it becomes a sampanna sambhog. And then you have samriddhiman, the fully nourished meeting, like
Riddhi.
samriddhi.
Samriddhiman.
Samriddhiman sambhog. So the example is when Krishna, of course in the Bhagavatam he leaves Vrindavan and he goes to Mathura and Dwarka, but there's no overt description of his returning. But in the Padma Purana it describes that when Krishna, he left Dwarka to come to Mathura because Dantavakra was attacking. After Krishna killed Dantavakra, he crossed over the Jamuna and he met with all the Brijvasis. So that union after Sudhira Pravas, living far away for a long time, that union that takes place is such nectar. So that's called the Samriddhiman Sambhog. The fully, Riddhi means mature and nourished, fully nourished and successful meeting. So these are the four prominent types of meeting. And I was very much appreciating these kirtans. I think this first one that you were singing. Yeah. This Gauravan Rasi. From the symptoms, from the lakshan in the kirtan, this is Purvarag. It's a Purvarag kirtan. And even Bharat Muni would agree with that, because the Bharat Muni in the Rasha Shastras described 10 states that a young woman goes through before having the chance to meet with her beloved. And the first one is exchange of glances. So the poet has first said, Banki Chitta, this exchange of glances. And then the next one is called Chinta. The person starts thinking. After that glance, you can't forget that person. So, and then the next one after that is the sleeplessness. They can't sleep at night. And so they're mentioned one by one, they're coming here. And then the one after that is they lose their interest in eating, they can't eat.
Yeah.
So then they become skinny, like that. So then that's the next one after that. And so then after that becomes a kind of vyadi. They're not sick, but it's as if they're in a disease condition. And then mad, then they become a bit crazy, a bit mad. When people talk to them, they don't reply. And when no one's there, they give reply, but no one asks a question. That kind of thing, it's mad. And the last one is mrityu.
Which doesn't happen actually.
Yeah, which doesn't happen. No, it's just like preparing for death.
It would be a rasabas.
Completely, it would be rasabas. So Rupa Goswami gives the example of mrityu is Radharani. She's in Purvarag, and she's just completely lost in thoughts of Krishna, but she thinks she can never meet with him. And she walks up to the shore of the Jamuna river, and then she takes off her necklace and says to Vishaka, "This is for you." And then Vishaka bursts out crying, because she can understand when a person is about to leave this world, then they distribute their belongings to their loved ones. And so that's like the mrityu aspect of Purvarag. So all the symptoms of the expansion of Purvarag are mentioned here in a very beautiful way. Very, very beautifully.
Yeah, it's just...
And the other one from the perspective of Rasavichar, that was this one. What is that? Vivida Sugandha Nakaro. Ubatano. Was that? No.
Another one.
Which one?
Are you in the Golden Vasi?
No. Oh, it was this one. Abato Kaha Kararo Mai. Jabate Goshti Puri Nandana? No. Which one?
No, the only one I sang out of that was the Golden Vasi.
Yeah, no, this one, it was here. Nanda Lao, so very man, yoka. So, my heart has been stolen by Nanda Lao. And who can do anything about it? No one can do anything about it. It's too late. It's too late.
Yeah, it's fraud a bit.
Yeah. So here, there's this verse.
It's a Harkiya Bhav, obviously.
Malongin Nishan Bajaya.
Melongi Nishan Bajai.
Yeah.
I will go out with a band and say.
Nishan means a band.
Nishan means a sound.
A sound.
Yeah.
So in our Gaudiya tradition, there's one poem where Radharani is telling to Lalita, "Oh Lalita, take the madangas and cartels and go into the town square and beat the drums and loudly say, 'The daughter of Vrishabhana Maharaj is having an affair with the son of Nanda Maharaj.'"
Yeah, that's what this is saying.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So actually, of course, Lalita's not going to do that. But what it means, it's a stage in Prem, because each stage of Prem has its symptoms. So when Pranay, Shnaya, Man, Pranay, the next stage after Pranay is called Rag. And the symptom of Rag here is that which would ordinarily give you great pleasure gives you great pain. Like the gopis' marriages are arranged. The gopis' marriages have been arranged, and they hear the news, now you have to move to your in-laws' house. Usually for a young woman this is a great celebration, but from the gopis it's like poison. It's like worse than death. So our Jiva Goswami describes how on the day before they were supposed to go to their in-laws' house, the gopis one by one they left their homes and they wandered through the forest. Individually, no one knew what the others were doing. And they came on the bank of the Jamuna in Kaliyarat, which is the first place where they saw Krishna dance on Kaliya, and they really fell in love with him a bit, because their childhood was ending. So that was the first appearance of the real Shringar Bhav. They loved him in childhood, but because their sanskar wasn't there of being a young woman and the children, so the Kaliya Daman Leela was just at the end of childhood, before, and so their female mood and the Shringar mood was just coming. So that place where their Purvarag first took root, they set off for there and came on the bank of the river. And when they got there, they saw hundreds of other gopis were there too. And they looked at each other's faces. And seeing the fear and the sadness and also the love in each other's eyes, then they realized and they asked, "Why are you here? Why are you here?" And then they all began to cry because they could understand they're all in the same condition. They'd fallen in love with Krishna and they didn't want to go to their in-laws' house and be touched by another man. So that was that's a great moment, because up to that point they have a prachanda kamokata. They have to hide their love. They can't tell anyone. They could not tell anyone. But at that point, when they were all on the verge of death, they finally opened it and spoke it. So, a problem shared is a problem halved. And they all felt great relief from that. So then Radharani held the hands of the gopis, all gopis held hands. And Radharani, she did a sankalpa. She said, may we gopis, who today give up our life in Jamuna, O Kalindi Devi, please bless us, that we can be Sakis birth after birth, that we may always live in Braj, and that Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda will be our sas and sasa, and the mother-in-law and father-in-law. And then Radharani, she began to enter into the Jamuna along with all gopis, and they were going to drown. And as they were disappearing under the waves, then Jamuna Devi appeared in thousands of forms and caught each one, and then brought them onto the bank. And Brinda Devi, the goddess of forest of Vrindavan, and Purnamasi Yogamaya came. And Purnamasi said, don't worry, the three of us, visibly or invisibly, we will always save you. You will never be touched by another man, and your desires to serve Krishna will come true. So only because of that reassurance of Purnamasi Yogamaya and Brinda Devi, the goddess of the forest and Jamuna, then they were able to leave their parents' home and come to the homes of the in-laws. Otherwise it would have been death for them. They could not have survived it. So this is the Purvarag Leela gradually developing. And so it's described that from that day when they vowed to be Sakis, it was from that day that Lalita and Vishaka became the Mukhya Sakis of Radharani, and that Padma and Shaibya became the Mukhya Sakis of Chandravali, and so on. So the Yutas began from that day. The Yutas, the different groups of gopis, they had their Yuteshwaris and their intimate Sakis.
We have 4.
4 Yutas.
Yeah.
In Gaudiya Vaishnavism, they're unlimited Yutas, but there are 4 main moods.
Yeah, there are 4 also?
Yeah, 4, yeah.
We have 4 in terms of the Tamas, Raja, Sattvic, and Nirgun.
Right, so yeah, that's a different analysis. Interesting.
Yeah,
like a transcendental counterpart of the 3 gunas, with Chandravali being Rajasic, right, and Radharani being Tamasic.
Tamas, and Kumarika is being Sattvic, and Yamnaji being Nirgun. And there's also, but then you have a Veda between the Nitya Siddhas and the Sadhan Siddhas. So it sounds like most of this is in the Sadhan Siddha realm.
No, this is important. This is what I'm discussing. These are all activities of Nitya Siddha, but they're in the Prakat Leela. When the Leela is manifest here, then the whole Krishna's, there's a Kram. There's Krishna's Balya Leela, then his Pauganda Leela, then his Kishore Leela. And so you can't only have the Kishore Leela, in the sense that even if you only have the Kishore Leela, you can't be a person without a past. So in order to be a Nitya Kishori, you also have to remember, well, when I was a child I grew up like this, and when I was at this age Krishna lifted Govardhan hill, when I was at this age Krishna danced on the head of Kalia, and so on. You can't be a person without a past. So that the Nitya Leela as Kishore and Kishori is there, but all the inner sanskars of their past are present in the Nitya Leela. They have a life. And so we believe that when the Prakat Leela is manifesting here, what happens is the internal sanskars or memories of the eternal associates in the spiritual world takes a gross form here so that everyone can see it. Super. Yeah, strong bhakti. That's the idea. So what you have is, you have the Chandravali, she has this type of love and she's got her Sakis, Radharani has her Sakis, and there's a kind of competition. However, when the Yuteshwaris meet together, they never fight. They don't quarrel. They're completely very affectionate and they respect each other. Because who loves Krishna loves Krishna. But because the Sakis want their Yuteshwari to meet with Krishna, they prefer their Yuteshwari, there's some competition between them. And especially in separation, then Radharani It said actually that all gopis come together at the time of separation. There's only competition at the time of meeting. So in Gopi Geet, when Krishna disappeared from the Rasa Leela, then all the gopis, Radharani, Chandravali, everyone, they all came together and they sang Gopi Geets together. Because each one loves Krishna and they're all feeling separation from Krishna. And so that's also a very special rasa. That there are the pakshas, but it's all forgotten when each one is suffering in separation.
Yeah.
The Leela to be Naravat. If it's Naravat, there has to be competition. Is this understanding all right? If it's Naravat, like
if it's very Naravat,
even
yeah.
if a man,
if it's Naravat, yeah, because in this world there are pakshas, right?
Even if two married women, I mean, he has two wives. Those wives love him same way, but they will have internally they
have some sapatna bhav.
They will.
Sapatna bhav, yeah.
When you look at this in terms of the Braj literature, which has explored, these subjects, in its own unique way, then you find it like, Mera Manamanyo, Kaha Karego Koi, like what we're reading today, or this poem of separation, which was different, but we have so many different types of Vedas in the poetry that is revealed in sort of not in a shastric way as much, but in the bhav of the bhakta. Mm-hmm. Like, let me just sing one that would be different from anything which I've sung to you thus far, which is like this. Teri prana ki marod nate lalita jivan Anjana day chita yoju baye shama vama hoteli. So Radha is in Mon, right? She's in deep Mon, and so a Sakhi is sent to her, and she says, "Teri broniki marorin." When you raise your eyebrow, Radha, Krishna gets bent at three places. Lalita Tribhangi Bai. Anjana day, when you put the anjan on your eyes, chitayo, and look at him, baye shamavam, that's what happens to him. That is the first line. Second line is, Teri Musa kyata dek, when he looks at your slight grin, right? Teri Musa kyata dek, damanisi kol dejat. It is like he is struck by lightning. Dina vahe, he becomes completely he becomes a servant of yours. Dina vahe, yachaka pyari, he becomes a beggar. Dina vahe, racha pyari, Radha leta adonam. I think I mentioned this before. He can only say half of Radha's name. So, Jojo nachayo, chaho. This is like very deep Braj Bhasha. Jojo nachao chao, exactly as you want him to dance. Tesehi nachatalal. So Krishna dances. Abato mayakini. Of course, she's got a yukti in this thing. She wants a resolution. She wants the man to go away. Man is not a stai bhav, right? It's not stai, because stai is only prem. And man is used to increase prem, because like all of these different things, Paks, Vipaks, they like, they don't like, they support, they don't support. In the end, it's only for one thing. This is all the rust. The Vislation is just so that prem will flow uninterrupted.
Yeah, it's all different.
That's what it is. You can explain it to the 10,000th degree with, minuteness, but in the end, it's just for one thing, is that the bhav arise. So, Abato Mayakini, you should be kind to him. Cheliye Nikunja Dham. You should go and meet with Krishna. Nanda Dasa, so then Radha says, Nanda Dasa, Prabhu Pyari Vai, no, Nanda Dasa, I still have to sing it. Nanda Dasa, Prabhu Bolo, Nanda Dasa. Of course, and another thing is that to recite these poems like the way which I just recited it, and to sing them in raga, with the proper tal, like Arano Raga, which this one is a very, very Gayaki Raga, and in Drupad, which is a very difficult tal to sing in 12B. To sing that is very from just reciting it. So often. So in the last line he said, no. Jojo Nechaya Chaho Tesahi Nachadalali Obeto Maya Kine Cheliye Nikunja Dama Nanda Dasa Prabhu Bolo. So the Gopi sang. Nanda Da, the duty. Nanda Dasa Prabhu Bolo. So if you speak to him, I mean, if you'll just agree to say one word to him. Nanda Dasa Prabhu Bolo Do Bula Ula. Only then will I bring him here. Why am I going to bring him here if you won't speak to him? Right? Nanda Dasa Prabhu Bolo Do Bula Ula. Inahike Kalpa Bite. For him, it's been one kalpa. Tari Gadi Yama Tari Brona. For you, it's been a moment. For him, it's been an age. Lalita Tribangi Bai. So, I mean, on a personal note, because I've explored the Braj poetry a lot, and so I find all this very interesting because it's another angle of explanation that it's really, it's not, I mean, an explanation helps, but in the end it's to develop our own bhav so that we can understand the nature, whether it's vipaksh or paksh. In the end, just so that we can taste more deeply what that Leela is about, and these amazing explanations, which Gaudiya really specializes in that.
Yeah, the specialism is there.
You know, that's a specialty of the Gaudiya line, just like Wallabh has another sort of specialty. You know, every single line's got something which the other lines don't have, actually. Or
that's why they should associate with each other.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's interesting to see, and that's why, you know, I do wander around a lot. And you know, because I have developed the ability to, I can hear something that doesn't exactly match maybe what was from my line, but I know that in terms of bhav, it's not firm. It's, I mean, it isn't like, it has to be like this.
You can take it in your own bhav.
Yeah, you have
to. It's just like, let's say, as Gaudiyas, you know, we put a lot of emphasis on Geet Govinda.
Yeah.
But Jayadeva Goswami wasn't a Gaudiya. I mean, the Gaudiyas didn't exist, you know, it was hundreds of years before. Right. But it's like our Sampradaya has like really appropriated Gita Govinda and was very, very dear to Mahaprabhu. And also Mahaprabhu was very, very, very much into Bilva Mangal Thakur's Krishna Karnamrita, which is actually your Sampradaya, but before Vallabh. It's Bilva Mangal Thakur is Vishnu Swami Sampradaya.
That's right.
As well. So, yeah, it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his own life example, he showed where the rus is there, you can taste it.
And the Krishna Premamrit work, and you know that one as well?
Krishna Premamrit, no.
It's the names that Radha that Radha recites the names.
Krishna Premamrit Rasayan.
Yeah, that Radha recites the names of Krishna. It was a text that, according to us, Vallabhacharya gave to Chaitanya. And it's very big in Gaudiya. It's bigger in Gaudiya than it is even in Vallabh.
Vallabhacharya wrote it?
No. Vallabhacharya found it.
Oh, he found it. And
he found it.
We say that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found it.
Yeah. Whatever. I mean, obviously this is
Krishna.
But then in the end, there's only
I've
one.
got the text.
Yeah. There is only one commentary on that
in
Sanskrit.
What language do you have it in?
English and Sanskrit.
You have it in English.
Sanskrit.
Yes.
You have it in English because
Sanskrit, yes.
It's basically it's a certain amount of 100 and something names.
Names.
Which
very beautiful, amazing. Names.
And there's only one commentary on it. And who wrote that? Gosainji. Gosainji wrote the only commentary on it, which has been translated.
You have the commentary?
No. I have it.
Oh, he is.
Right, so in between all of us, and the commentary.
Look at us last week, he's a Vallabh, I'm a Gaudiya, and the two of us went off to the Nimbaka Sampradaya. Together. What's that? Only in Braj, huh? Only in Braj.
No, I'm totally into that. I mean, I'm extremely eclectic in that sense. I mean,
one question.
Yeah.
Like we have a fineness, like certain bhav, the goal of life for all of us, if concluded, is, you know, under Rup Goswami, Rup Manjari, like that. What is the goal in Sri Vallabhacharya Sampradaya?
Was it in Gaudiya?
No, he's saying about, let's say, there's the different types of gopis, right? So you have Radharani has her Sakhis, And so the ones who are similar age to her, they're her
Vayasya.
peers. They're her peers. They're equal, and she likes to arrange for them to also meet with Krishna. Everything's cool. Actually, if Krishna becomes, it's said that man is a kind of jealousy that comes, but it doesn't come. If Krishna is attracted to one of Radharani's friends, Radharani will not be in man. If Krishna becomes attracted to a gopi who's in a Surikpaksh, a friendly group, also she won't be in man. If he becomes attracted to someone in Tatastha, then some man will come because they're friends of the Vipaksh. And if Krishna becomes attracted to a Vipaksha Sakhi, Radharani will be upset. Like this. So man will come. But so anyway, Radharani, she has her friends who are similar age, they're on equal level. But then there are some that are younger, and they don't often. It doesn't happen very often, and they definitely don't have any desire for it. They don't meet with Krishna directly as their beloveds. It happens sometimes, but generally they really don't want that. They just want to serve Radharani when she's meeting with Krishna, and because they're not really Krishna's lovers, or they're not the same age as Radharani. When Radharani meets with Krishna, they're like, if you like, they're like little female cupids that float around her and serve them in their confidential lila. So Radharani and Krishna, they feel no hesitation or anxiety or shyness in their presence, and they can fan them, give chandan on their bodies, give them tumble, massage their feet when they're alone, when they're naked, whenever. At a time when Lalita and Vishaka and others, out of because they're friends in it, they have to be at some distance and they can't see those pastimes. So and they're called the manjaris because if you have a creeper growing, on that creeper you have flowers. So Radharani is considered to be like the creeper, and the flowers are the sakhis. But the small buds which are just coming out, like on Tulsi has the flowers. But just above the flowers, you see the manjaris. They're perfect and they're just like the flowers, but they're tiny. They get small. So a bumblebee comes and lands on the flower and takes the honey. It doesn't go to the manjari. But when the bumblebee takes the nectar of the flower, then the manjaris are trembling. So the idea here is that the younger girls who are maid servants of Radharani, they're not hankering to meet with Krishna, and that's one of the reasons why they're able to be really, really close to Radha Krishna's Nikunja Lila, when the Sakhis have to be at some distance.
They're mugdha.
And so they're not necessarily mugdha.
They're experienced.
They're the classical categories of mugdha, madhya, and pragalbha, and so all kanya, all unmarried girls, they're all mugdha. And then among the married girls and the manjaris, they're married. So they may be mugdha, they may be madhya, and they may be pragalbha. It depends which sakhi they're serving under. So in our sampradaya, we follow Rupa Manjari, and Rupa Manjari is serving Radharani, but she takes mainly her guidance from Lalita Sakhi. So Lalita's kind of pragalbha. So they're younger, but with a mixture of pragalbha in there as well. So it's very interesting. So what we see is mainly in a lot of the sampradayas who are doing bhajan in Madhurya Rasa, either they want to be a nayaka directly to Krishna, or they want to be a sakhi of one of the nayakas, and also meet with Krishna. And so the speciality of it is what is called the manji bhav in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, or Palyadasi bhav, and nitya sakhi. Nitya sakhi means I always want to be a sakhi, I don't want to be a nayaka. Because Radharani is the Purna Shakti of Krishna. She's non-different from Krishna ontologically. So she's the highest embodiment of love for Krishna. So it's said that there's one quality of Radharani's love called Asanjanita Ridvilolan. It means that if anyone sees her or hears her, they become moved by the waves of her love. So if any gopi can be there and see Radha Krishna's meeting very confidentially, because the other sakhis can't see, they have to be further away, then their hearts become churned by Asanjanita Ridvilolan, and they become vyapta, they become completely pervaded by Radharani's Madanakya Mahabhav, the highest bhav. So even though the maid servants, they have a lower kind of social position within the yuta, within the group, and even though Lalita, Vishaka, and other sakhis, their love is higher, and they can never hope to have a love like theirs. But because they get to be very close to Radha and Krishna, they become vyapta, immersed in Radhika's bhav, and get the opportunity to experience a love which is even inaccessible to those who are higher than they are. So it's that's the Gaudiya theology behind
So the Gaudiyas are really trying to be the younger.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Can we say that Mahaprabhu came
Just a little younger. Not so. They're in terms of their beauty, they have narrow waists, they have developed breasts, they have everything, but they're still a little bit younger than Radharani.
And that is the Parama. That is the supreme attainment.
Paramgati for
To put it into kind of
That's the Prayojan.
Prayojan.
Right. If they were really Radhabhav, then they would once start embracing Krishna, which they don't. You know, if they were totally absorbed, I am Radha, or I'm feeling that.
They're vyapta. They're only vyapta. They're not the thing.
They're vyapta by it.
They are not tadasta. They are vyapta. There's a difference. If they were tadatmic, it would be different. They are vyapta. Yeah, it's interesting, fascinating. I mean, that's a very suksham babe in terms of all of it. Suksham babe, but it is, I mean, what it is that, these are very atyanta alokik vishaya, and at some point we have to, we can sort of speculate in the bhavana realm of what these things are, and not move into the vani vilasa, as they call it in Sanskrit. These are so exalted that the difference between tadatmic and vyapatmic to become, is, but I find that very interesting. Now, where does the pushti marg rest? The
prayojan, the internal prayojan.
Now, I would ask you this: is that something which everyone agrees on, or is that a particular Goswami who is?
No, that's because what happened was when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Everyone agrees with that. Everyone, all of this.
Even the Swarups are Manjari Swarup, specifically in that service which is revealed.
So.
Because they just don't understand their own sampradaya. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri and he danced before Lord Jagannath, Rupa Goswami was there, and Mahaprabhu began to sing some verse from the Kavya Prakash Sahitya Darpan, a mundane verse, and no one could understand why he was saying it. So at that time Rupa Goswami was there, and he became vyapt with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's bhav, essentially, so he could understand, and he wrote some verses. He wrote one verse, based on, which was like a parallel verse to the verse that Mahaprabhu had written. And in that, he's bringing out the Vaishishya, the speciality of Parakya Rasa, especially because Parakya Rasa is so important. And I saw all the Parakya Rasa in these poems.
A lot of Parakya.
When it said Lokalaj means shyness. Here, you said something about the world, but we would, as Gaudiyas, would interpret that the people in the village, I'm giving up my shyness. I don't care what the people in this village, the local.
This one here is completely
totally Parakya.
This one is completely Parakya.
So Rupa Goswami, he realized that special contribution of Shuddha Parakya, and he himself realized himself as being maidservant of Radharani. And so then in their poetry, they've written many, many verses of the very detailed descriptions of the services that the Manjus render throughout, the Nitil Astakali Lila, Astayam Lila.
So the Manjus never have direct Krishna association?
Well, that's the thing. They
don't desire.
Desire not, but do they have?
He'll tell you.
They do.
Yeah, they don't want, but sometimes.
It isn't only vyap, it's actually
but that's the point. That's the problem, you see. Because if they meet, it's Sambhogatmik. If they'll meet with Krishna, then they won't be vyapt by the Radhabhav. That's the point. So that Radharani meets with Krishna, they get vyapta by Radhabhav. It's more ecstatic than if they meet with Krishna themselves. And that's the whole point of wanting to be the Dasi of Radhika rather than to be a Saki. So Vishwanath Thakur writes that once Krishna was trying to catch one manjari. There's a beautiful verse. Prabodhananda Saraswati, he said, Ananya Sri Radha Pada Kamala Dasyaka Rasidi Hare Sange Rangam Swapana Samayena Pidarati Balat Krishna Kurpada Saki Kimapya Charitika Pyudastro Mame Eti Pyudastro Meveti Mamatma Chahasati. Mamatma Chahasati means that the maidservants who are absorbed in one pointed dasya bhav to the lotus feet of Radharani, they don't want to meet themselves directly with Krishna even in their dreams. So Balat Krishna, Kurupada Sakhi, when Krishna grabs them by the bodice and starts tearing at their choli, like that, then what happens? Mameveti, Mama, don't, stop. Mamatma Chahasati. And at that time, their life and soul, Radharani, she's just laughing. So here, laughing indicates her approval. So Vishwanath Thakur, describing a scene like this in one commentary, he says that Krishna catches one manjari, and the manjari says, look Krishna, you and I both know, right, that if you meet with me, I won't be satisfied, and you won't be satisfied. Right? So what's the point? Like this. And Krishna like stops for a minute, you know, and thinks. And then Radharani comes up and says, why are you so selfish? Why are you thinking about his satisfaction or your satisfaction? What about my satisfaction? And so Krishna takes that as a hint from Radharani. Take her. And then Krishna enjoys her by force on Radharani's inspiration here. Like this. So so it says that Radharani, she likes to arrange for her Sakhis to meet with Krishna, but she does it out of two, how can we say, there are two reasons why she arranges for her Sakhis to meet with Krishna. One is because the ones who are the same age, like Lalita and Vishaka, they're extremely qualified, extremely beautiful, and extremely full of rasa. And Krishna is attracted to them. So in order to please Krishna, she wants that they'll meet with Krishna. And then there are the others, the younger ones. They're beautiful, but Krishna's not so attracted to them, actually. And also, definitely they're not attracted to meeting with Krishna. Though he's so beautiful, they prefer Radharani's meeting. And so Radharani will insist, agraha, she'll insist that they meet with Krishna only out of sneha, out of affection for them. Because they're her friends.
Right. And there isn't any irsha, there isn't any jealousy.
There's absolutely no irsha. Yeah. And because you're in a yut, that yut means we're all in this together. We've all stepped over the line. Stepped over the line of dharma.
Oh, you mean the Maryada?
Yeah. Yeah. How can you be a member of the group if you haven't joined the club unless you stepped over the line?
Kona Rasa Gopan and Lino Gut. Niragata Swarupa Nandananda Ko, Loka Laja Gai Toot, Paramananda Veda Sagara Ko, Maryada Gai. Chut. Yeah. Okay. The lines of Maryada.
Because that's the speciality of Parakiya. Parakiya Rasa means that in complete transgression of the sacrificial fire. We made a promise in front of the sacrificial fire, the Brahmins, the parents of the boy and the girl, in complete transgression of all of that Lokadharma, Veda Dharma.
It's a Deya Dharma.
You go and become attached to a Parapurush. Parapurush, also I'm speaking Parapurush. to a man that you're not married to. And then it becomes Parakiya. Otherwise it's not Parakiya.
Yeah, it's interesting. What is the slight bait here is that we are more into the Parakiya bhav than into the Parakiya pun. You understand pun? Then into the actual nature that she was married and she is married and she was seeing Krishna on the side. Now, that's a Parakiya situation. Mm-hmm. We are more into the Parakiya bhav than into the situation, which I think probably in the end, so are you.
The thing is that
because all of the other things which you explain are really in the end, they are only promoting the Parakiya bhav. Whether it's Radha's married or whether in the end, the actual end game here is the Parakiya bhav.
Well, bhav's culmination.
Because
bhav is the
our Prayojan.
Parakiya pan nahi hai. Parakiya-ness nahi hai. Parakiya bhav mein. You know, and the reason and I would bring that because that is where there was also Garber. Not that what you're saying is that in Gaudiya and also in the Vallabh Sampradaya too, the local leelas that arose out of too much Parakiya speculation, whether it was in the Sahajya movement in Bengal,
Yeah,
or
that's why
whether,
it's not for discussion.
or
in the
then whether or not
general
it was
preaching
in
arena.
Gujarat, or where it happened anywhere, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course, that's not the subject which we're even talking about. But that in the end game is not Parkiya Pan, it's Parkiya Bhav.
In our tradition, our Prayojan is the service in Astakali and Lila. So in the Astakali and Lila, you have all types of things going on. For example, Radharani in the morning, she's lying in her bed in her mother-in-law's house. She's so tired because she's been awake the whole night and so on. The sun's already risen and she didn't get out of bed to do her duties yet. Her mother-in-law's thinking, why didn't my daughter-in-law wake up? And so her Radharani's grandmother comes in the room, the mukra, so she can come in. And the Sakis are there and they're trying to wake Radharani up, and she gets up and then they do her full shringar, they decorate her and everything. And then from Yavat she sets out and she goes to Nandagaon. Because Durvasa Rishi has given a benediction to Radharani that whatever she cooks will taste more than nectar. And anyone who tastes it will have a long life, be healthy and never be defeated by anyone. So when Durvasa Rishi gave that benediction to Radharani, then Mother Yashoda, being afraid that many demons were coming and wanting her son to be protected, she demanded that Jutila, she gave the invitation, but she insisted, she wanted it very much, that Radharani should come every day and cook in her kitchen so that Krishna could eat her cooking in order to protect him on the strength of Durvasa's blessing from any demons who may come to Braj. So then Radharani is coming to Nandagaon in the morning. And so that's when we do parikrama, we always go to Yavat and we walk from Yavat to Nandagaon, following the Astakali Lila. And so as Radharani is getting closer and closer to Nandagaon, she's just becoming overwhelmed with more and more ecstasy and anticipation that she's coming to the house where she actually wanted to live, you know. I mean, she wanted to be married, but it didn't work out. She ended up having to marry someone else. So it's very difficult to walk into that house. And when she comes to the door, Mother Yashoda comes out. And Mother Yashoda wanted her to be her daughter-in-law. But it didn't happen.
Why didn't it happen?
It said that if, actually, they wanted them to be married. But if the gopis will marry Krishna, then there will be no Parakiya Rasa.
Right, yeah.
It will be Swakiya. So Yogamaya, Purnamasi Devi...
It would be less rus, actually.
Yeah, there will be less rasa, exactly. So Yogamaya Purnamasi Devi, by her mystic power, she attracted Gargacharya from Mathura and brought him to Braj. And Gargacharya was riding on a chariot to Mathura thinking, where am I going? Why am I going? I don't understand. And as he arrived in Braj, he saw Purnamasi Devi and he said, now I understand everything. Yogamaya has brought him there. She's the Leela Shakti. So she told him, I want you to go to every house. Of all, you know, sadhus go from the house to house of grihastas. Visit the grihastas' house, everyone in Braja, and do the horoscope of the young girls. And then when you do the horoscope, you tell the parents that their horoscope looks really good and Krishna's horoscope looks great, but when you put the two together, there's incompatibility which will arise in the premature misfortune for one or the other. Like that. And so then each one by one, they realize my daughter cannot marry Krishna. So Yogamaya broke off the relationship.
Where is the praman for the Parkiya situation?
In Bhagavatam, everywhere in Bhagavatam.
There's no praman.
Patisutanvaya, Bhratrubandavan, Ativala. We gave up our husbands.
No. I want specific praman. I want more praman. Because that's just a general...
I gave up my husband?
No, in terms of... Because, there, of course, we know that the gopis were... Because I am taking this from the Wallapaksh now. That no one ever said that there wasn't Parkiya Bhav in Braj.
But what's the meaning of Patisutanvaya?
That's understood. There isn't any paksh on that one. Definitely. Many of the gopis were Parkiya. My question is specifically, where is the praman that Radha was Parkiya?
Yeah, it's in Brahmar Geet. And it's...
No, I mean, so in the Bhagavat, it's not spust. Let's leave the Bhagavat out of this, because no Acharya, no Wallabh is not going to follow that, and other Acharyas.
Who spoke Brahma Geet?
No, meaning that a very clear praman of that Radha married in Yavat to this gop. Where does that actually come from?
That is Brahmanda Puran.
Okay, so there is a Purana.
Yeah, and Brahma Vaivarta Puran, two Puranas. where it's directly mentioned.
It's clearly mentioned.
Yeah, there's a marriage of Radharani to Abhimanyu.
In the Brahma Vivaan.
Yeah.
It's interesting, yeah. So, and it's interesting because Wallabh never quotes that. So it's just a Sampradayik Bade.
But you know, and Radharani's leaving her husband. She mentions that in Sapati Griha Kutumbam Dina Mutsrija Dina Bahavohya Vihanga Bhikshu Charyam Charanti. That as soon as the nectar of Krishna's Leela enters into the heart, then you break all connection with your Griha Kutumba, your house and family. And then another one, Vasrija Krita Cheta Kimnu Sande. Why should we make a reconciliation with him when we left our husbands and families? Radharani is saying, and then he abandoned us and went to Mathura.
There are countless things like that. I know that.
And then there's other stuff like Apibata Madhupuryam Ardyaputra Dunaste. She calls Krishna Ardyaputra, which is that's referring to him that she loves him like a husband, but actually he's not. And there's Na Parayam
Nirava. This is all in
Na Parayam Niravaja Samitam. Swasadu Krityam Vibudaya Ya Ma Bhajan Durjaya Geha Shrinkala. You've broken the bondage of your household life to come and meet with me, so I cannot repay you.
No. Those are all prasid. But I was, specifically because the reason why I bring it up is that in the Pushti Marg, we don't have that bhav at all. That Radha married another. That just isn't there. It just never entered into our seva, never entered into the philosophy, never entered into one of the Astachap poems. And also,
but this poetry said, I don't care what my family say and the Vedas and the Dharma.
You have to understand, that's different from a gopi who is parkiya is different. I'm talking specifically. There is no mention
with Radha
in any, not only in the Pushti Marg, but probably in Nimbark and in Swami Haridas too. Radha is not married to Abhinand. There isn't any mention of that.
They're the only people carrying the banner of Parakiya.
Yeah.
Actually,
no. Parkiya Bhav is totally Wallabh Sampradaya too, and also. But what is that specifically? I'm talking about the marriage. Radha married a local guy. Is not found in any of the Braj literature in terms of Astachap. I'm not saying that didn't happen. Just saying that we never followed that parampara.
The lineage is that Mother Yashoda's mother, her name is Patala Devi, and Patal Devi's brother is named Gola, and Gola's wife is Jyotila, and their son is Abhimanyu. So technically Abhimanyu is Mother Yashoda's cousin, which would make him Krishna's uncle. Right? So what happens is, when a man gets married, he takes his nephew on the horse with him. And the nephew sits in the yagi with him as well. So in that way, Abhimanyu was riding on the horse, but Krishna was in the horse. And in the fire yaga as well, Krishna sat there, and when they exchanged garlands, he was younger, he put his head in the garland as well. So there's some pastimes related to who Abhimanyu is and how he's related to Yashoda and everything. And
I'm just sort of asking, and my thing is really is almost on a different page. I'm not, the Gaudiya literature in terms of that, I understand that, and it's quite interesting to hear. Just saying that we don't have it. It isn't in Wallabh. It's not in Astachap. It's not in any of the Rasik poets of Braj. And those guys were were like very important practitioners. You cannot discount them. Right. So what I'm saying is that it was a Bade in Sampradayak interpretation. Because the Bhagavat, you can't prove it in the Bhagavat. Patisutan Vaya and Shrinkala, and you can give all the different songs. We all agree, great.
You can say all the gopis are married.
No, not all. Some.
No, not all. Some.
So that's all understood. But that the Radha thing, I'm just curious to know.
If some are married, then Radharani is one of the ones that isn't married. Is that?
She would be unmarried,
She would be unmarried.
Unmarried. Unmarried.
But if you take Brahmar Geet to be actually Radharani speaking Brahmar Geet.
It means that Radha and Krishna never had a marriage, a Vedic marriage, because of the problem with the Parkiya Ras. It would be it would disrupt. It would disrupt the Parkiya Ras. So we all agree on that point that Radha and Krishna never married.
Here we get into the terms then, because when you speak of, for us, parakya has two aspects. The first aspect is kanya bhav.
Yeah.
That means unmarried parakya, because that's also parakya.
There
that's
is a parakya bhav.
And the other one is paroda bhav, which is a married parakya.
We have that too. Yeah. Mine is just a very specific. It's kind of almost a technical question. Is that where do you pull Radha's marriage from? It's not in the Bhagavad. That's for sure. There may be things that
there's not a description of the marriage, but it's in the word, in Radharani's own words in Brahmar Geet. She says that I left my husband to be with him, and now he abandoned me. So why am I going to make the reconciliation with him?
No. I would like to see an actual praman from Shastra that
they're not accepting Brahmar Geet spoken by Radha.
No.
Even if that is said.
No, it isn't.
Do you accept Brahmar Geet is spoken by Radha?
That Brahmar Geet is spoken by that I have to look into the commentaries on that one. Whether it was specifically first of all,
I mean, for us, that Brahmar Geet that's Radharani, not anyone else.
And also, we also have a Bade here because we have a Sahachari Radha who is a Leela Radha, as opposed to Swamini, who is not an avatar or not involved in any Leelas that had to do with time. So they weren't in part of any avatar Leela at all, whether they were Saraswat Kalpa or Vara, because so the Swamini which we worship is only in Golok in that sense. And then the avatar Leela, where Radha married or Krishna held up the hill or whatever, is very important because that shows us the path to Nirod and ultimately to the Nitya Leela.
We have a totally different understanding. The Leela from there manifests here. It's a display of that Leela there, manifested here.
Yeah,
and
we have that.
So it's on the same. It's on the same ontological standing as the Nitya Leela.
It's on the.
It's not. In other words, when it comes here, it's not. It doesn't take place in the flow of material time. It's like an intervention into the world, and it's also eternal.
It's the same.
It's also
the same too, but still, because of it's happening in the Jagati, because it happens in the Jagat, it does have in it a Vishesh Prakar. It doesn't actually make it lower. In some ways, it makes it almost higher, because of our situation of where we are. That's why, in the Pushti conception, we're not interested in going back to Godhead so much. We are more interested in having Bhagavan here, because otherwise it's more of a Dvait Bhav, that we are trying to go back to Golok Dhan and we're sitting here. So then it's kind of practically speaking, then one has kind of a negative bow towards the Jagat, which can almost bleed into Mayavad philosophy. I'm taking this on another level now, of what are the possible side effects of having a negative view towards Jagat as it being not equal to that. So in that sense, it is equal, but that actual attainment is in the Jagat, and this is a very gambhir vishay, as to whether or not because you are trying to attain Krishna here, or are you trying to attain Krishna there? Iti chet. That's very deep thing, and it's a little bit beyond the actual Leela narrations. It has to do more with the Vedantic interpretation of your interpretation of Jagat. Is Jagat here totally, is Jagat really, as you were saying, where the Leela manifests into the world exactly as it is in Golok Dham? Which, of course, we actually agree on that point.
With some speciality, because there are no demons there.
Exactly.
So there's a kind of there's a point where that Leela meets some of the material energy, and the demons kind of try to jump into the Leela and get killed, or liberated rather, purified.
So there is some sort of vishesh. There is some visheshata between that, and so anyway, what it is that we're just trying to attain Christian bhakti, and whatever is the marga to go there, and whether it's the Nimbarka or Wallabh or Gaudiya view, each one has its own Vishesh Leela interpretation. That's why I said, and I listened to the Gaudiya interpretation with a lot of interest.
I love these kirtans; they're fantastic.
And read them. Well, actually, and the kirtans are going to fit directly into your Gaudiya thing. You could just read them, and there was no issue with any of the kirtans. In terms of the Leela philosophy, there's a little bit of Bed, just like the differences between Shuddha Dwait in Achinta Beda Bed, or Beda Bed from Nimbarka. There are some Suksham Bed there, although they are kind of similar.
Well, you just take Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govinda. It more or less tells the pastimes that are happening in one night. So there's no mention of Radharani's mother-in-law's house or anything. You know, it's just like a Ras Leela night like this. So for Gaudiyas, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes that, relishes it, and propagates it among his followers and everything.
And did he say this? I mean, is it actually in his utterances, or was this in something which the Goswamis produced afterwards?
First of all, he lived in Jagannath Puri, right, for about 18 years.
Yeah.
So they performed Gita Govinda every day in the Jagannath temple, right? And then in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is our main Gaudiya biography of Mahaprabhu's life, there are many verses of Gita Govinda, and there are pastimes when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is wandering in a garden on the shore of the ocean, and he tells to his most intimate friend Swap Damodar, sing, and then Swap Damodar sings a verse from Gita Govinda, and the verses are there in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then Mahaprabhu begins to speak on them and explain them. So it's like, it's completely there in the life and the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But on the other hand, Gita Govinda doesn't fully represent his whole perspective on Krishna Leela. For that, you have to go to the Astakali Leela.
Yeah, because the Gita Govinda doesn't have Radha marrying someone else.
Like you've got
right there, you don't
say
have
you've got Radharani going to Krishna's house there, and she cooks for him in the morning. Then after she's cooked, Krishna sits down to eat with all of his friends and Madhya Yashoda, Rohini and others and servant girls, they're serving them. And Radharani is just looking through a lattice and watching Krishna eat. So for us, that's Parakya Ras. That's really Parakya. Why? Because she loves him, she wanted to marry him, she wanted to live with him. That means to be his wife, she wanted to cook for him every day, but she can't. But by some great fortune, she is cooking for him every day. But she has to watch from a secret place how he's enjoying it.
All right.
You know, and
a
it's
simple question though. In the Nitya Leela, in the Golok Dham Leela, where is Radha's husband there? Is he there or not?
His name is Abhimanyu.
I mean,
he's there as Abhiman.
No, but is she actually married to him in the Nitya Leela?
What I'm telling now, this is the Nitya Leela. After cooking for him, then Krishna gets up and he goes out with the cows to take the cows to graze, and Radharani returns back to Yavat. And then she makes an excuse to her mother-in-law, I'm going to worship the Suryadev, the sun god, so that my husband can be healthy, wealthy, and increase his cows. So she leaves on that pretext with her friends and goes to Suryakund. She leaves all the paraphernalia for the worship of the sun god there, and just a couple of kilometers away is Radhakund. And she goes to Radhakund. Meanwhile, Krishna's come out to Govardhan to graze the cows. He's playing with the sakas here. And then Krishna, he sneaks away from the cowherd boys, and he meets with Radharani in Radhakund. Then they have their Madhyanik Leela. And that Madhyanik Leela that's the most glorious and fantastic Leela of all time. That's Julan Leela, swinging, Holy Leela, throwing colors, Jal Kelly, playing in the water, Pashkrida, gambling, Madhupan Leela, drinking honey wine, getting drunk, and all the Samprayog Leela, everything. All Sambhog, Kelly Vilas, everything is there, and that goes on. That's the middle part of the day. That's the longest yam. The middle of the day and the middle of the night are the longest ones. All Nikunja Leela's going on then. But then when that comes to an end, then Krishna has to go, Radharani has to leave. So Radharani quickly goes to Suryakund to do the puja for Suryadev, but her mother-in-law shows up because he's checking to see where she is and if she's really doing it. So then Krishna, he disguises himself as a Brahmin just to get a chance to be with Radharani again. And he does the puja. But Radharani's mother-in-law doesn't recognize him because he's disguised as a Brahmin, and he says all types of mantras which have double meanings. One meaning is we make this offering to the sun god, and the other one is you offer yourself to your boyfriend and stuff like this. All these double meanings. Yeah. And so then Krishna, he gets a chance to see her again, and then he goes back to the boys, and then he brings the cows home in the evening. And he returns with the cows, and Madhya Yashoda, all the Brijvasis come out of Nandagown, and there's a beautiful meeting of everyone. Then Krishna, he milks the cows in the evening, he takes his evening bath and everything. Then he honors prasadam, and he goes to there's a theatre where Nanda Baba and all the cowherd boys and others, they go in the evening for entertainments. And there's some performances there, acrobats, clowns, poets, and whatever it is. They get entertained. Then Krishna takes rest. In the meantime, Radharani pretends to take rest, but her sakis are decorating her and getting ready to sneak her out of the house at night. and Krishna sneaks out of the house at night, and he goes somewhere to any kunj in the forest of Vrindavan, and Radharani now becomes the first of the 8 Nayikas, is Abhisarika. Right? Abhisarika is the first one. So she's going through the forest at night, being led by her Sakis to meet with Krishna. And then they do Ras Leela at night. And then as the night's over, they take rest, they sleep in a kunj and they're asleep. But then Brinda Devi tells the birds to sing. And by the sound of the birds, they're woken up, but they don't want to leave each other and go home. So that's our Mangalartik. When we do Mangalartik in the morning, wake the deities and do the puja at 4 o'clock in the morning, then that's the bhav that Radha Krishna are together in the kunj, but just now they have to go home. And so it's bittersweet. A lot of separation then. And Krishna has to quickly get on before people wake up and start moving around on the road. And Radharani has to get back to Yavat. And then we come back to the beginning again, where we started, where she's in bed, she can't wake up, her mother-in-law is thinking, why is my daughter-in-law?
Yeah, so this is an abbreviated Ashtayam.
Yeah, that's the Astakaliya Lila. So that is a Nitya Lila.
That is also Nitya Lila.
That is the Nitya Lila. For the Gaudiyas, that is the outline of the Nitya Lila. Of course, there are millions of variations on that. But that's the outline of the Nitya Lila. Because in this Leela, Krishna is never a baby, he's never a child, and he never leaves and goes to Mathura. It's an eternal pastime. So the Gaudiyas, by Siddhadeya, by their Swarup,
but then,
as they advance, they're serving Radharani.
In a Nitya Leela, in the Nitya Leela, my question still remains that how would she be married to another in the Nitya Leela?
Is there physical form there? That's the question, if at all.
Does that even exist in the Nitya Leela?
The form of Abhimanyu, we can say philosophically, is not there. However, because everyone has the Abhiman that he is, then what's the difference of his being there or not? And that's why he's called Abhimanyu. He's an Abhiman.
So you're saying that it's basically a catalyst for Parkiya.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Are there some pastimes where he's walking?
Some gyan is there. There is a.
हम लोग तो अपनी पुष्टि मार्ग में इसमें थोड़ा सा भेद है कि हम लोग नित्य लीला में इस प्रकार की ये असंभव है. For us, it would be asambhav, some of this. In the Avatar Leela, it would be sambhav. Not at all in the Nitya Leela.
Well, I'll tell you why it's sambhav for us. Because Yogamaya is called the Agata and Gatana Tatsiyasi Shakti, the power that makes the impossible possible. So he's not there, because how can there be a person who's eternally gets the short end of the stick? Right? That can't be an individual who's suffering all the time, losing out all the time. So he's a pratiti. He's everyone there experiences him, but there's no substance.
I'm going to now explore this a bit more. I'm going to go. I want to talk to some of the other Russic lineages to get their take on it, because I understand it from the Wallabh side. I'm starting to understand it from the Gaudiya side. I do want to understand it from the Swami Haridas side.
Yes, that's why we don't.
They will not. They will not. Wallabh won't. I do believe Haridas won't. Nimbark won't.
You see, we don't.
And I think Radha Wallabh will also not.
Nitya Sambhog, Nitya Nikunja.
I think it's a speciality. I think it's a speciality of Gaudiya.
Yeah. Because if you have a Nitya Nikunja Leela, then there's nothing except for the Kunj Leela. Whereas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, then the Kunj Leela happens in Madhyanik in the middle of the day when they meet at Radhakund or somewhere, and in the middle of the night when they go to Rasa Leela. And then that's decorated on either side by the mixtures. The Vatsalya is there, and the Sakya is there, and all the other kinds of rasas.
Yeah, everyone has that.
They become supports.
That's there too. I mean, we also have that too. I mean, that's there. That Ashtayam Leela is there. But my question is quite specific. You know, it's not. You know, of course, the Ashtayam Leela and the Gaudiyaites have a preference for the Radhakund, while the Pushti Margas have a preference for Chandra Sarovar, or they have the evening Leela, which is perhaps some Pradhanata. Actually, we wouldn't give Pradhanata to any time, because we would think that the Ras is a Khanda and is Paripuran at every time, so that there's nothing which could be higher.
Well, the reason we say that is because there are 2 times of the day, in the Madhyanik and the evening, that's when they meet successfully. And the other times, it's more of a Vipralamba Rasa.
So because in the middle of the day, I mean, just sort of when in the middle of the day, Thakurji's out in the forest doing his Gocharan Leela.
But that's what we say. He comes out here, but his Gocharan Leela is just an excuse to get out of the village. And then he sneaks away from the boys. I wanted to ask you something. I noticed, and I've seen a few devotees who are serious of worshipping Srinathji. that you have a chopar there on your altar.
Yeah, of course. We have it every day. I have it every day. Of course.
Is there a seva when you come and bring the chopar in front
Yeah,
of the
of course,
deity?
of course.
Because for us that would be Madhyanic Lila.
For us too.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go.
You see,
Tashkrida.
you see, it's actually 1 day chopar and 1 day satranj, chess.
Chess.
Yeah. Or it's many games, and it depends according to season. It changes
Do
seasonally.
you have a satranj also?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, no. Do I have it? I don't have one here, but I do have one in the States. Right there. So in terms of that,
So they have to go a long way for that Lila.
No. In terms of that, there isn't any bait in that, and that one, and that was totally there. That we have, and that's what I was indicating to you today when the guy was talking, when Dwarkesh Baba was explaining that all of the items which are used in the seva represent the depth of the Ashtayam Lila. For instance, bringing in the chopar or the satranj.
No, we don't in our sampradaya we don't do that.
Yeah,
When
we actually bring
when
it
I
in.
saw your chopar book,
We actually bring it in. It comes in when?
No.
It comes in when?
It's ecstatic.
Yeah. It comes in when? It comes in at Rajbog, Madhyam. And it stays until when? It stays until Sandhya Arti. It stays for all that. It stays basically from, in terms of time, it stays from like 11 till 5.
For us, Madhyanic Lila is 10:48 to 3:36.
Yeah, something, whatever. Yeah, it's basically that time, right? And that is the time.
But Sandhya is later.
Sandhya is a little bit.
We wouldn't consider that until the Sandhya.
Yeah, so
because Krishna has to have his return his Bandagaman.
yeah, so at that time the chopar is taken away. Whether it's 3:48 or 4:50, and the bhav is that I'm saying I'm explaining to you what is the seva crumb, because in the Pushti Marg, what's fascinating about the Pushti Marg that is unique in that sense, just like Gaudiya has many unique things, is that how the items that are used in the seva represent the bhavs which we've been speaking about. For instance, the chopar.
Yeah, I love this touch. It's ecstatic. It's something we
That's
don't.
right.
In
That's right.
our
The chopar is actually offered there, and never mind all of the other items which are used in the seva, which have all the various bhavs of Paks and Vipaks and Swamini and Chandrawalaji and Yamnaji, Thomas Raja Satvik, and all the various Leela Bades are there. But we don't have anything of Radha marrying someone else that just isn't in the seva crumb. But we have Radha marrying Krishna about once a month, which I mentioned to you before, but it's a phony marriage, because otherwise it would mess up the Parkiya Bhav.
yeah, we call that Gandharva Vivaha.
Yeah,
It's an exchange of garlands.
Gandharva Vivaha is an exchange of, in terms of the 8 different types of marriages or whatever. Gandharva, it certainly isn't a
The
Rakshas.
Sakhis, in
like
our
that.
Sampradaya, the Sakhis, it's kind of like a trick that they play on each other. That they get some Sakhi to sit down to Radharani with Krishna, and when they're not looking, they tie their cloths together.
Yeah, and not only that,
And then they start singing wedding songs, and when that Sakhi becomes embarrassed and gets up to run away, she can't leave because she's tied to Krishna.
we have poems. Dina Dulahe Meri Kumvara Kanaya. Dina Dulahe. So Krishna becomes a groom and Radha becomes and it's done every day, according to this poem. So that is a bhav, right? I mean, actually, it's not marriage pun, it's marriage bhav. If it was marriage pun, there would be an interruption in the bhav.
In our Sampradaya, they say that some of the gopis, they do a Gandharva Vivaha with Krishna. And Rupa Goswami raised the question, does that make it Swakiya Rasa? And he said no.
No.
It doesn't make it Swakiya Rasa. Why? Because the ingredients of Parakiya are Nivarnata, which means it's forbidden. Durlabhata, it's difficult to meet your beloved because of many obstacles. And Bhamyata, you can be contrary because a wife has to be submissive, but a lover can be contrary. Yeah. And then the last one is Prachanda Kamokata, that you have to hide your love for your lover from the eye.
Prachanda?
Prachanda, covered. Prachanda Kamokata. So that you have to hide your love from the eyes of others, and that intensifies it. And so even those gopis who have the Gandharva Vivaha with Krishna, they still have to do Prachanda Kamokata and hide it from their relatives and
yeah,
everything,
yeah.
and therefore it cannot be called swakits because all the ingredients of Parakya are
For
present.
instance,
Those four ingredients are from Bharat Muni. So Rupa Goswami, what he does is he takes a lot from Bharat Muni and then he adjusts it because Bharat Muni is describing Prakrit Ras. And so he gives respect to Bharat Muni and takes his breakdown of all the rasas and then adjusts it in the places where the Aprakrita rasa is different from the Prakrit Ras, because it's Naravata Lila. It's like human, but it's not exactly the same. So there's some places where the rasas are different.
Pyari teri holy holy dar jaise teri nupar na bajahi janata braja ko loga nahi sunave yoga. So what it is pyari teri holy holy. Holy holy means slowly. Jaise teri nupar na bajahi. Go very slowly so that the sounds of your anklet bells will not ring. This is again Parakya Swami going out to meet Thakurji in the evening.
Manjira Mukta Charanam Chavidaya Devi. We have said
holy, holy, Dara Jesse Teri Nupar Na Bajayi, Janata Brajako Log, Nahi Sunave Yoga. Because if the other people of Braj heard the sound of Swamiji's anklet bells going out, they are not qualified. Or that literally they shouldn't hear it because it's prohibited. But the second meaning is that Nahi Sunave Yoga, that they are not qualified to even hear that sound. So what again, a sort of a solidification of the Parkiya.
And Jayadeva Goswami says the same thing. Ripumiva Keli Sulolam means Osaki. Now come on, I'm taking you to Krishna. So take off your ankle bells because Ripumiva, they're like enemies. They seem like your friends because they're following you, but they're enemies because there's no worse enemy than a talkative friend. That's the worst enemy in your life. So she said, Ripumiva Keli Vilolam means that you think your ankle bells are your friends, but they're actually enemy. Why? Because when you're leaving the house, then they'll announce that you're leaving, and so that will be a problem. And secondly, when you meet with Krishna, when you're in the Keli pastimes with Krishna, at that time they're already talking and telling everyone what's going on. So they're enemies.
Both lines have the deep respect for the Gita Govinda.
Oh, really?
Of course.
Gita Govinda is big in the Vallabh Sampradaya.
Of course. See, as I said, in the Seva, the only language which is ever allowed to be sung is Braj Bhasha. No Gujarati, no Sanskrit. It's not.
Really?
Sanskrit's considered too low a language. Yeah.
Why? Why
Because,
is it low? Lower than Brajabhasa?
No, Braj Bhasha is the main language. Everything besides Braj is lower. Sanskrit lower, Gujarati lower, Bengali lower. Braj is supreme language. That's just all over Braj. But there are a few exceptions. And the exceptions for that would be the following words. Gita Govinda. And Gosaiji's writings in Sanskrit, a few of his writings are allowed. Nothing from Vallabhacharya is sung in the Seva. Not one word. Gosainji and Jaidev. Period. So that's how much respect. What I'm saying is that there is that much respect given for Lalita Lavanga Lata Parishila Nakomala Malaya Samire Virata Hariva Sarasava
Alikula Sankula Kushuma Samuha Mirakula Bakula Kalape Lalita Labangalata Parishila Komalamala Samire Madhukara Nikara Karambita Kokila Kujita Kunja Kutire
Vilasata Hariva Sarasa
Viharati Hariya Sarasa Vasante Nrityati Uvati Janena Samam Saki Virahi Janasya Durante.
Yeah, we sing that in Basantarai, like this. We go, how's it go? Lalita Lavanga Lata Parishilana Komala Malaya. It's been a while since I've done it. Lalita Lavan Basant Lata Parishilana Komala Malaya Samire. Then we go down. Viharata Hariva Sarasa Basante Nritata Yuvati Janasama Saki Virahi Jana Sadhuran. And then Vittalnaji sings like this. Raja Yuvati. Now he actually takes Jaidev style. Raja Yuvati Shata Sange Hariya Raja Yuvati Shata Sange. Now Vittalnaji is like, goes beyond Jayadev in terms of the Shringar Ras. Because of course he is coming later, and by that point the Shringar Ras has been more established. And what he says in the Jayadev style is all very Sambhogatmik. And he describes 8 different types of nayakas, and some balat, and some are, sort of, and some of them are, Viradi, Vibhrama, Sambrahma, Lola, Vilochana, Suchita, Sanchita, Bhavam, balat, there's very interesting, but he takes it from Jayadev.
Yeah.
And that's because he was sort of the Adi Acharya of that style.
That's those descriptions of the gopis, like one gopi grabbing Krishna by the cloth by force and pulling him into the kunj. It's the next song in Gita Govinda. It's a Chandana Chachita Nila Kalevara Pita Basana Banmali Keli Chalan Mani Kundala Masmita Chanchala Kala Yuga Shali Harim hiya mugda badune kare Vilasini vilasati kehli pare Harim hiya mugda badune kare. And then it describes Radharani seeing Krishna, one Krishna with each gopi, and each gopi is different bhav. Yeah, and it's a Astapadi. So the 8 gopis, and one gopi is saying, if you're saying about force, it says that one gopi sees that Krishna is not exactly looking at her, he's kind of looking over her shoulder, and she looks and sees he's looking at another gopi.
Yeah.
Well, she's talking to him, so she grabs him by the cloth and pulls him into a kunj. Like this is one of the verses.
Vittalnaji has a this is all that Saki is coming to Radha, who's in Man. And she's saying, Vihata Hari Braja Yuvati Shata Sangha. He is playing with Shat, which means not only 100, it means thousands of Swaminis. He's not playing with 1 or 100, he's playing with thousands at the same time.
When you say Swaminis, you mean what we say Yuteshwaris, the group leaders.
Not only group leaders, but he is playing with thousands of gopis. Let's just leave it simple at the moment, right? And then at the end, Radhe Tavapula Yatu Manarata Udita Idama Harirasam. She says, and Radhe Tavapula Yatu Manarata, you too will have all of your desires fulfilled, because she's in Man. So she's trying to get her out of Man. So she tries to almost make her jealous by explaining 8 different types of absolutely sambhogatmic leelas. And then in the end says, Radhe Tavapula Yatu Manarata Udita Idama Harirasam, that you too will be able to enter into that. And then of course the leela moves on from there.
Is that the Vittalnath's, is that a tika?
No.
It's a
Swatantra
Rachan,
yeah,
but it's drawing on Gita Govinda.
It has some obviously elements of Gita Govinda in it, and it comes in the what is called the Gosainji has a exceedingly rasatmic word called Shringar Ras Mandan that no Westerner has ever touched, because the Sanskrit, first of all, is too difficult. It's very difficult. It's much more difficult in terms of linguistic style than anything I've read anywhere, in whether it's Gaudiya or Nimbark. I mean, Gosainji is just impenetrable. Sanskrit is it's like from another planet. So I'm studying it now, and that comes within it. It's about maybe 700 shlokas, and one of them is the Dawn Leela, and one is the Leela that's happening right now of the Vritacharya of the Yamuna Bath, and the other one is called the Dasulas, which is these different Leelas. And basically,
Dawn Leela is very, important in the Gaudiya Sampradaya.
Of course, well, all these, and so, and in that comes the Brajayavati Hari, Hari Brajayavati Shata Sangha, Vilasata Karana Gana Rittavara Navara, Ivarate Patimanabang, Vibhrama Sambrahma Lola Vilochana Suchita Sanchita Bhavam, Kapi Dragan Chalakubalaya Nikolay Sanchita. I mean, it's very rasatmic, and it's hard to translate. And I've talked to a lot of pundits. Even pundits can't quite figure out always what's going on, because the language is paroksha. Right, it's hidden. Gosainji style is very parokshva, which is another specialty of Wallabh Sampradaya. We're very parokshi. It's very difficult to know what's going on often because we think that Ras, as you mentioned the other day, that Ras flourishes in, what did you say? That Devatas are Priya, Devata are Priya to Rasa, that is Gupta. You actually
Paroksham mama cha priya, Krishna said in Bhagavatam. Paroksham mama cha priya.
Yeah.
The indirect explanation is
That's
more
right. That's
attractive.
right.
And actually, Jayadev Goswami has written the Sambhogatmik Leela more than though our Goswamis came later, they didn't write openly like Jayadev Goswami.
Jayadev wrote very openly.
They did everything in figures of speech and metaphors.
They were also Parokshvad.
Yeah.
Parokshvad is a very important part because otherwise, as we say, pragati hite rasa jai. Right? If you have too much pragat lila, what happens is that the ras turns into the rasa bas. So there's always a parokshvad. As Nandadas says, that the lila is like a Rajasthani blouse that shows only a hint of breast. That's the way which Nandadas explains it. Right. And to read Nandadas, if you ever have the time, or maybe one day we should sit down and look at Nandadas. And Nandadas is the king of Braj Bhasha of all this rough stuff. No one, in my narrow opinion, touches Nandadas, and he's written something called the Punch. Yeah, full on. The Gosainji Chela, the supreme for me. I mean, not that one is better. He is called. Everyone is a Gariya and he's a Jad. No, everyone is a Jariya and he's a Gariya, which means everyone else is a jeweler. And Nandadas places the stone. So his use of words was considered to be the best. And he wrote something called the Panj Manjari, of which Roop Manjari is one, Viraha Manjari, Anek Arth Manjari. There are 5 different Manjari, which I've translated 2 or 3 of them. And that is very interesting, especially for someone like you, so interested in the Ras and the Parkiya and this sort of very interesting stuff. Because this is what interests me, is this sort of literature. Now, whether Radha is married or not, that's just, it's an interesting point for me. I'm ultimately interested in not whether she was married or not. I'm interested in the bhav that arose from it. Whether or not we agree on whether she's married. Okay, so that's a Puran Antar Vishay almost.
For us, that is the Leela, the situation is such that the ras comes out from that situation. If in Mangalartik in the morning when Radha Krishna wake up, she has to go home, it's like, it's heart-wrenching.
Nandadas calls it like a saw which has to cut them apart is the rising sun. That's that's the image which Nandadas uses.
Exactly. So now the question arises, if this rising sun is like a saw which tears them apart, where do they go? And why do they have to go to different places?
Because,
this is it.
Okay, because what it is that according to the Wallabh Bhav here, or Pushti Marg Bhav, is that the Parkiya Bhav is, as you mentioned before, in the unmarried.
She goes back to Barsana.
Okay, she'll go back to Varsana.
It's because she is the Yuteshwari of the Kumarikas, Radha. From the Wallabh view, which is different from the Nitya.
So everything is there except for Abhimanyu.
Yeah, everything is there. It's all there.
Except for Abhimanyu. That's why the question was so specific.
Whole Yavat Leela is not there.
Yavat Leela is not there at all. Zero.
Well, that one of those books that I gave you is just all Krishna trying to basically break and enter into Yavat. Because what happens is the mother-in-law Jatila, she gets so suspicious about all the rumors which are flying everywhere that she confines Radharani to the home. And that's a real big problem. And then Krishna, like we were hearing this poetry today, how Krishna, he disguises himself as a bangle seller and that kind of thing, right? That kind of. So what happens is Krishna comes again and again and tries to get into Yavat in different disguises. So that song about the bangle seller and everything, this Jiva Goswami is mentioned in Gopal Champu. Krishna, he tries to be the barber's daughter, he tries to be the Brahmin girl, he tries to be a singer.
How about Sanji Leela? Sanji Leela. Krishna is always dressing him as a gopi and the Sanji Leela to enter in, and then we have a lot of descriptions of that, Krishna.
But the thing is that if she's not married and he's going to Varsana, that's one thing, but if she's already married and she's going to...
No, she's never married. Krishna's going to Varsana to break into Vrishabhanu's home.
Right, okay, but what I'm saying is, if she's married and he's going to the mother-in-law's house, then in his breaking the stakes are higher. You know, it's more
From
it's
a local-
more nivarnata.
From a lokic view, but not in terms of a lokic. A lokic
Right.
a lokic's not a lokic doesn't follow that. Lokic is gunatit. But I understand what the Baba is, that in terms of lokic, yes.
Because the Gaudiyas take the
Because
concept
one of them leaves
Naravata
would end
Lila,
up in divorce in the world, and the other one would be a slap on the hand.
One would be a slap on the hand. The other one, it can't. There's no divorce in Vedic society.
right.
It would be complete ostracization from society,
Yeah, right.
and that's why Krishna in
Right.
the
It would be
Rasa-
Rasa Boss at the end.
Oh yeah. The thing is that
It would be Russell Boss.
the excitement is there,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they never get caught.
That's
You
right,
know,
that's
but they always come very very close to getting caught, but then always somehow
funny, you know something?
escape.
In the Pushti literature, there's never any close to getting caught.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's always there, this sort of the excitement.
Uh-huh.
You know, Teri Nupar Nao Baji Hi, Janata Brajaki Log, Nahi Suna Veyo, Ha Ha Ha, Ha Ha Pyari, Neka Mero Kayokar. Ha ha Pyari, oh Pyari, will you listen to me for a minute? What I'm trying to tell you, walk slower.
Yeah.
You know, Teri, Saganakunda and that, please, don't cover your face when you go out because it's the full moon and yours is also full moon so that you will blend into it. And there's all these things like that which sort of are showing that it has to be hidden, again,
Yeah.
from the Paroksh and the Parkiya.
Will Krishna manifest something like them for Vallabha? And will Krishna manifest something like this for Gaudiya?
Well, that's for sure.
Yeah, of course.
That's definitely
Unlimited.
I mean, that's something because otherwise, what it is that you simply cannot limit the Krishna Leela. That's my only point. You can't limit. I cannot limit the Gaudiya interpretation, and you cannot limit us to chop Nanda Das, Vallabhacharya Goswamiji. You can't mess with those. Just like we would never mess with the Leela interpretation. But it's interesting to see what the Bades are.
In our Gaudiya line, we
Appreciate.
understand that
Yeah, to
Krishna
appreciate,
Leela
period.
is going on in different prakost or different prakash at the same time. So there are unlimited dimensions of
Yeah,
Krishna's
that's
Leela.
right. It's
And
like-
then the devotee, according to their bhav, enters to the Leela which corresponds with their
That's
bhav.
right,
So
that's right,
there's
that's right,
never
that's
any
right. That's right.
there's never any contradiction.
That's right, and that's the beauty of it. Actually, otherwise, what it would be, it would be that the Leela would be in some way cement. It would be limited. It would have boundaries.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's not. It's Maryada Atit, Kala Atit, Veda Atit.
We believe that in the spiritual world, there's one prakost where Krishna's baby pastimes are going on forever. And devotees in Vatsalya Ras go there and love him as a baby forever.
Yeah.
There's
Why
another
not?
one where he's a boy forever.
Yeah.
And those in Sakyaras, and then there's one where he's a Kishore forever, and that's
right.
where the Madhurya Ras
That's right. Yeah.
people go. So
And that's
everyone.
what is manifesting on this world.
Yeah. And
Oh
that's
yeah, and then what happens is that when Krishna makes his Prakat Lila in this world, what he does is he makes a display of each one of the Prakashas one after another in a sequence, so it looks like he's growing.
Yeah.
It looks like he's a baby, then it looks like he's a boy, then it looks like he's Kishore. But each one of the forms is eternal, and he's just showing them from the spiritual world in a sequence like that to give the impression that he's a human being.
Yeah. We have that in the Varya. In Varya's life. Some person was just established in Vatsalya. Some people were just established in Dwarka. Some people were Ram Bhaktas. What to do? What, is everyone wrong who wasn't into the Kishore Leela? I mean, that would be a very seamed view.
Yes.
You know, it would really contradict the nature of Purushottam. Purushottam has to be Anadi, Ananta, Akhanda, Abeda, has to be Sarva Kala, Sampan, has to be able to, and also, you know, we actually like Krishna limited. Because if Krishna is unlimited, we can't enjoy the ras.
Oh, we recognize
You
that
have
he's
to limit
unlimited
it.
ontologically.
We limit him to
but-
Braj. We
but
limit
once
him
you're
to...
once you're in the Leela, then you have to have the Naravat Bhav.
Naravat consumption.
Completely, for us, Madhurya Bhav means the absence of Aishwarya Bhav.
Yeah,
That
of course.
Krishna is just the son of Nanda Maharaj.
That's right.
He's not. Bhagavan means Lord Narayan. Nanda Maharaj, Krishna's father, is worshipping Lord Narayan, and so that his son will have blessings like that. Otherwise, all ras is finished.
That's right. And Mahatma Gyan is a pratibandha
Yes,
at a certain level.
Yeah.
Ishwarya Bhav is going to mess with the ras at a certain level.
In fact, we say if someone has Aishwarya Bhav, they'll basically end up in Dwarka or Mathura or like that, because that's where the Madhurya and Aishwarya are mixed together, and pure Aishwarya is in Vaikuntha. They'll be in Vaikuntha with Lord Narayan if they have a full Aishwarya.
In this sense, the lines are identical in that. and also identical in the sense of the people who have the Vatsalya Bhav stay in some sort of Vatsalya Loka almost. And those who have Sakha Bhav Pradhan. But what's interesting, and I can't explain this, is that when you read the life stories of Surdas and the other Astachap poets, it's explained there that they were, during the day, they were Sakhas, and at night they were Sakhis. Go figure.
Multi-swarups is possible.
Yeah.
Or one Jiva.
That's
like
right.
Srinivas Acharya, Narad Muni, like that. And
They
he's
had
supposed
actually
to be
both.
A gopi
They
or a
had
Manjari.
both bhavs. They were Sakhas during the day and Sakhis at night. It's only in the Astachap. Everyone else, when I'm reading, like right now, I am retranslating Vallabhacharya's 84 followers. Each of the followers is Rupa. And there's no Sakha going on there at all. Every one of them. One of them was...
It's only Surdas and...
It's only in the Astachap poets that I see that they had this dualatmic, this dvidalatmic sarup of Sakha and Sakhi. Everyone else had only Sakhi.
Did they really have a Sakhya Swarup as a Sakha, or was it that in their separation they were appreciating the great fortune of the Sakhas?
No,
because Gaudias would relish a verse concerning Sakyaras from the perspective of being a gopi, thinking how fortunate the Sakhas are to be with him when
so
we
it's
can't
that,
be there.
but it's the opposite of that as opposed to relishing it from the Sakhi Bhav, they became Sakhas so that they could experience Krishna 24 hours a day.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was it.
See, we chant the Mahamantra. In the
just
Mahamantra,
so that they would have Krishna all the time. They'd be Sakhas during the day and Sakhis at night, which kind of contradicts certain Leela sort of boundaries. But that's what it's really, because, this whole Leela philosophy, I don't want to call it philosophy, but the whole Leela Bhavana doesn't always make sense.
Sometimes
it doesn't. It can't, because it's achintya.
It's achintya,
yeah. I mean, to use a word which you guys use, it's achintya. So,
you see in the Mahamantra, you have Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So the first Hare Krishna is the first yam of the day.
Oh, really?
Hare and Radha and Krishna together. Hare Krishna. And then the second yam of the day. So first they wake up in the morning in the Kunj, Hare Krishna, Radha Krishna together. And then Hare Krishna again, Hare Krishna. This is the Radharani goes to cook. So again they meet. And then Krishna goes to graze the cows. So they're separated. So then it's Krishna. Radha Krishna not together in the third yam of the day. And that's but then in the fourth yam, Hare. So here
it's Madhyan.
Yeah, one Hari is Hari and one Hari is Hara. You see? So Radha Krishna together. Because the feminine Hara, she who steals the heart of Hari, is named Hara. And in the vocative case it becomes Hare. Just as Hari becomes Hare in the vocative case. So in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you have the first yam there together, the second yam there together, the third yam of the day, he's gone cow grazing and she's at home and she can't meet him. And then in the fourth yam, the Madhyani, they get together again, like this. And so...
That's cool.
So from the point of view, that's interesting. You're saying they're in Sakyaras and in Madhurya Rasa, and then they get to be together in all the yams.
Yeah, but it happens to come in the Varta literature, and the Varta literature breaks all norms.
What is Varta literature?
Varta literature means it's the accounts of Vallabhacharya. You see, in the Pushti Marg, the most important stories are not even the stories of Radha and Krishna, or the Leelas, or of Mahaprabhu, Vallabhacharya, but of his followers. As today.
So in your book, Astachap Poets,
that's all from the Varta literature.
That's all from the Varta literature.
Yes. And the Charasi, which I'm working on right now, the 84 followers of Wallabh, is the oldest Braj Bhasha prose written. It starts with there. So it's interesting. And so it's got the 84, they're all different Sakhis, every one of them. There's one who is a Bans, is a water buffalo in the Leela. One guy who was here he was Nanda Baba's water buffalo. Everyone else is either Lalita or, and there's a list of it, I can show you, in the book, and the deities which they worship. Now this is a subject which we haven't even touched yet. Fascinating, maybe next time we can talk about it, is that the deities which the individual worships here, the Krishna Sarup, which they worship here, has to do with the Sarup that is in the Nitya Leela. And so therefore the Nitya Leela Sarup comes down here and manifests in stone or metal or whatever, but it's actually the form that you relate to in the Leela.
Yeah, yeah. We totally have that in Gaudiya Sampradaya also.
Which is, and that's why
The Ishta Dev. It's the Ishta Dev of that devotee.
it's the personal Ishta Dev, and that's why Chopar comes in the middle of the afternoon, and there are 1,000 different bhavs in the seva. There is actually one called the Sastra Bhavana, where it explains, like the ringing of the bell in the morning, right? Just like the Mangal Arti. So I will just give you one. The ringing of the bell in the morning, because we don't blow the shank, the conch.
Yeah.
The conch is only blown in Nadwara and in the 7 self-manifested deities in Pushti Mari. It's just a
Otherwise, in
reed.
your home seva, you
Bell,
don't do it.
bell, only bell, no shunk. Because another thing is that we don't want to be too Vedic. So that's sort of a secondary bell. So the ringing of the bell is the anklet bells of the gopis coming to Krishna's home in the morning. And then there's always the 2 leelas going on of gopis appearing as innocent, sort of, helpers of Yashoda, where this Parkiya and this Prem Bhav is Gupta. So there's a lot of poems about that, and that's where the Bal Leela comes in. Is that it's the gopis showing to Yashoda another Vatsalya Bhav, hiding their Paroksh Bhav, which is Parkiya. So you have to have the Bal Leela Bhav so that the Parkiya Bhav will be nourished.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a very important question, and that is in regard to, in your Sampradaya, is there any katha related to the identity of Shukadev Goswami? Because some people put forward the idea that Shukadev Goswami, because we know he was a parrot before he was born. He flew into the mouth of Vitika, the wife of Vyasadeva. But one idea is that when he was a parrot, he was actually a parrot in Radha Krishna Leela. He was Radharani's parrot. So he saw the Leelas, and that's why he was qualified to speak them later.
We have that too.
You have that in your Sampradaya?
Yeah, we have that.
Do you have... So people say that in your Sampradaya. But is it written somewhere in one of your tikas?
Yeah.
Can you show me?
I have to translate it. I have to go through.
Where is it in Sobodini or any tika?
No, it's not in Bhagavad.
You see, in Srimad Bhagavatam, when he says that the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is no word called Radha, because if they had mentioned the word Radha, he would go into ecstasy.
Yes.
And that's why there's only one word that comes in the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam, and it says Radhasa.
No, that's another subject. We are talking about...
Where does it, no, we were mentioning that Shukadev Goswami is a parrot of Radharani. He saw the Leela before.
It's in one of Haridaji's Bhav Prakashas on the Varta literature, and I maybe
if you could find wherever, like the best praman you can, or even a collection of pramans on this identity of Shukadev as a parrot, because...
Well, it's in a Puran too.
There's a Puran that he's a parrot, and he was in a tree when Lord Shiva was speaking to Parvati.
That's right.
But that this parrot was actually a parrot of Braj, and in Braj-lila, that story is not there.
Okay, that one I have to check. Definitely the Puranic one is Prasid. Actually, Dwarkish Baba mentioned yesterday.
What did he say?
He just explained the story from the Purana that Parvati ji wanted to hear the Braj Leela, so she really requested to Shiva, to Bhagavan, to Lord Shiva, ki humko sunao. So even though she wasn't really qualified for hearing the Braj Leela, so what happened to her was that she fell asleep.
In the first 9 cantos.
In the first or whatever. She fell asleep early on or whatever, I'm not sure when. And that Shuk was born then from an egg and came out, and he sort of said, aha.
Yeah.
But actually he said something, he said that, on the Rhine, but it was basically like a hum.
So Lord Shiva thought that Parvati was still
That's
awake.
Right, that's right. And then afterwards, when he finished, he realized that Parvati was asleep, and then he saw the parrot, and he went after the parrot to try to kill the parrot, and then that parrot ran into Vyasa's house and entered into
the mouth of his
into
wife.
the mouth of his wife, and then he refused to come out until he was a Jivan Mukta, which is I think is a Puranic story.
So
but the thing about the Shukdev in Braj,
before that he was in Braj and that he saw the Braj Leela, and that's why he was especially qualified to speak it. This is in our literature. I can't find anything, even though many devotees do say it.
I'm not sure. Now, how about this? Someone told me, and I'm not sure whether this is at all right, but that Gaudiya literature says that Vallabhacharya is Shukdev. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
according to the, of course, we would think that, of course, that would never be our interpretation. But I found it interesting that Walla was considered to be Shukdev according to the Gaudiya text. But I'll have to check in terms of the parity, because the stories in the Varta are from another planet. Talk about Radha being married. We also would think that like another planet sort of stuff. We have a lot of other planet stuff.
Yeah.
We got pigeons and we got insects.
We already
water
have buffalo,
bugs, water buffaloes, and the Leela. And I sort of translate. I go, whoa, man, and some of it contradicts Bhagavad a little bit. But what to do?
Yeah, if you could find just any shreds of evidence of any Brij Bas Vaishnava who says that Shukadeva Goswami was Parat in Krishna Lila, I would be very,
Nanda
very
Das
grateful.
writes extensively, because Nanda Das translated the entire Bhagavad into Braj Bhasha. And he was the brother of Tulsi Das. His story is very interesting. Tulsi Das from Ramacharita.
No, that's his brother.
His brother. And he was from obviously a Ram family. And Nanda Das falls in love with, and Nanda Das decides that he wants to go off on some yatra. And Tulsi Das is his older brother. He says, "Bhaiya, mujhe jana hai, I'm off." He goes, and along the way, he falls in love with a Brahmin wife. A Brahmin, she's married. And he won't drink water until he sees her every day. So she has to give him her darshan, because he's going to die of thirst, right? So ultimately, the family thinks, this Nanda Das, this Pagal Brahmin is chasing us around. Let's leave town. So they sneak out, and they happen to be disciples of Gosainji. So they go, okay, let's go visit our Guruji. So they come to Braj, and Nanda Das finds out and follows them. And then they pay the boatmen to say, don't let Nanda Das cross to Gokul. And Nanda Das comes to the Yamnaji, and when he has Yamnaji darshan, he becomes transformed. And all of his lust for the girl goes to the okay. So Nanda Das becomes this amazing poet, and he writes the entire Bhagavad in Braj Bhasha. And the Choba Brahmins in Mathura, they say, Nanda Das is going to ruin our business, because we speak the Bhagavad from the Sanskrit, and now everyone can read it in the vernacular, which was Braj Bhasha. So Gosainji said, hey, Nanda Das, there is a problem with your text. Then he picks it up, he throws most of it into the Yamuna. But the portion which he saved was the Ras Panchadhyay. And the Ras Panchadhyay were actually Dasham Skand. And in that comes a long description of Shukdev and who he is. And I have to look at the original text, because he goes on and on about Shukdev, who he is, and this is like that. So that's one. Another one is somewhere in the Varta literature. I mean, it's 2,000 pages. I have to check it. Where it is. But,
Okay, great.
Radhe,
Give me a call tomorrow then.
Because in the Pushti Marg, Shukdev is considered to be Uttamadhikari.
Yeah.
Vyas is considered to be, and maybe you guys will even take offense in this, is considered to be Madhyam. Vakta, in terms of Vakta.
Madhyam Bhakta.
Yeah, in terms of Vakta, Shukdev is Uttam.
Yeah.
Vyas is Madhyam, and Sutta is Kanishta.
We don't have a problem with
There isn't a problem, it's just
with that. I tell you, in Jiva Goswami in Tattva Sandarbha says that Shukadeva Goswami was so qualified to speak the Bhagavatam that even his guru and his Parama Guru had to sit down and listen. Which is Vyasa Narad.
That's right.
So we don't have a problem with putting Shukadeva higher than Vyasadeva.
Oh yeah, Shukadeva definitely,
Sutta Goswami,
he was he was doing it for Pratishta more.
Sutta Goswami is the disciple. He's disciple of Shukadeva Goswami, because he says Yam Prava Jantam Anupetam Apeta Kritam. So he's disciple of Shukadeva. So we can put him on, in one sense, in a lower category.
Wallabh explains because.
But we accept Sutta Goswami as a pure Vaishnava.
Oh no. In terms of the pure Vaishnavas, he's Kanishta, Vyas is Madhyam, and Shukdev is. I'm just throwing out a Wallabhacharya concept. Wallabhacharya concepts are very
they're like
unusual.
3 levels of Mahabhagavad.
They are all 3 levels of Mahabhagavad. This is not Kanishta. This is Uttam Kanishta. Uttam Madhyam. And Uttam.
Uttam.
Uttam, Madhyam. Because Vyas was Dukhi. And so he sort of listened to the Bhagavad to get over his duke. And Shukadev wasn't dukhi, he was sukhi.
Why was Vyas dukhi?
He was dukhi because he says, I feel dejected from Bhagavad. He went to Nada, Nada said, why are you bummed out? Oh, wrote all the text, and look, I still don't have these. Yeah, the reason why you're dukhi is that you've never sung the Leela. And then he had darshan.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and that's it. So in that sense, it was like an oshad for him. And that's why Mahaprabhu calls him Madhyam.
But we accept Vyasadeva as a Shaktyavesha avatar
So do we.
of Krishna.
We do too.
Yeah.
As I said, he's Uttam Madhyam. Mahaprabhu, well, it's very unusual, his style of interpretation. Just kind of, that's why I am interested, because, having been in this game now for 40 years, and playing around with Braj and Sanskrit, it's very interesting for me to hear the different interpretations, because I can download it from you very fast, as opposed to reading all those texts and trying to read the Sanskrit and then the Bengali, which I don't read, or the Hindi literature, which you don't have that much of. You're more Bengali and Sanskrit based.
Yeah,
so
yeah. My Gurudev has translated most things into Hindi.
Oh, has he?
Yeah. I gave you those two.
Those two were actually his translations.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Do you prefer to read Hindi or English?
I don't know, maybe Hindi.
Hindi, okay.
Hindi is, I don't know, English I can read a little faster, but not that much faster.
Yeah. Okay.
Listen, what I actually prefer is Sanskrit.
Well, the Sanskrit is there.
Yeah, my favorite thing
sometimes
is
the Sanskrit is a little dense.
Yeah, if it's dense, I want to have the Hindi.
So what you've got is the Hindi is there, but the Hindi is so Sanskritized that you can relish it, but you can comprehend it quickly.
No, I do that all the time. I already looked at it, and I saw that. I saw that from the Hindi, because the Sanskrit's tough, so I always like to have a commentary. Unless it's a Sanskrit text that I know well, I look at it. What does that mean? Oh, the Hindi. I can figure that out like that. But of course, the rest is mostly in the original text. Otherwise, whatever, English, Hindi. Obviously, I have a slight prejudice. I am fanatical about Hindi. So I'm an English speaker. So whatever. All this tigir badhiya. Everything is Bhagavad Roop. और आप लोग
was it interesting?
Look at this. A moment had passed like it's been hours later. Didn't we start this out when the sun was up?
To get some sun, right?
It was warm, and I was feeling like I was
Suddenly, 7 days and 7 nights of Parikshit Maharaj doesn't sound that big a deal.
Yeah, there's a story in the Dosa Bhavan that there were these two guys, and they were like Mahabhaktas, Uttam, and one guy was a Vakta, speaker, and the other guy was a Shrota. And so they sat, and they would sit for first a day, then they would sit for a week at a time without getting up. And their wives would like come to say, you have to eat something. So then they would break after a week and they would eat. One day they went out into the woods and they started having a discussion, and their wives didn't know where they were, and they talked and they died. They actually died. They actually died listening and talking to each other. Right?
That's awesome. What were their names?
Listen. So then, and their wives went out looking for them at some point. So a person who was like a herder says, yeah. I saw these two guys. They sat there for months, talking, having satsang. And I went back, last week, and it's just a bunch of bones. So and the wife say, well, could you show us the bones? And they went there, and there was one pile of bone here, and one pile of bone. They said, well, how to tell which one was my husband? Which one was your husband? Right. So the woman who had the husband who was the listener said, well, I can tell my husband because all of his bones have little holes in them from all the hearing. They actually entered into the bone. So all of his bones have small holes in them. See when this was obviously, that's what Bharata literature is like, completely surreal. Goes about.
A Vaishnava contribution to forensic science.
Yeah, right. In the West, I often teach, but I don't teach from the Varta literature because it's too esoteric. But having spoken with you, I see that there's a way to put it, because, I teach a lot of yoga people. And, man, you can't talk Radha, married, Parkiya, Swakiya. You have to, cloak it in a yogic terminology. And, you can talk about Ras and Bal. But, I mean, this is where people are ultimately going to get interest. Like, Pushti Marg is full of all this Leela stuff.
You need the sanskars. There has to be layers and layers and layers of sanskars until it becomes intelligible and relishable.
Yeah.
Praktana aduniki chasti yasya sad bhakti vasana tasya ridi jayate. It will manifest in the heart of the person who has the sanskars from this life and from the previous life as well. If you don't have from the previous life, you won't get it.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to. That's why I want to just stay in Braj.
Life after life. Every life again and again.
As the same Braj. Ao vidina achara pasara mango janama janama dijo moi Braj vasava. Janama janama dijo. Ao achara pasar like that. That's what I'm saying. Moi dijo Braj vasava. Janama janama dijo moi Braj vasava. Ahir ki jat. Let me be born as a ahir. Nikata nandanan, close to Krishna, so that I can daily go and see him. Again, Parkiya Bhav. I mean, there's so much Parkiya Bhav. It's true.
Manusya hoto vahi rasakana vaso braja gokula gauna kegwana jo pasha hoto kaha basamero charo nitananda ki denu majana pasana hoto vahi giriko daryo ko chatra purandara kana jo kaga hoto basankaramero kalindi kule kadamba kidana jai jai Sri Hare.
Ras Khan does have some Rasatmic poems too. Right, he does have some real Shringaratmic. That one's more, in general good, Bhav, Sadhik Bhav. But then he's got, Kona Tagori, Bari Hariyajana, Bajari, Bansi, Ranga Tabini, Suna Parijani, Hita Nihita, Vihi Kulalaja, Vida Karadini. Kulalaja, in that same sort of Parkiya Bhav. Rasakana, Yaha Brajamandala Me, Rasakana, Kona Batu, Latu Nahikini. What married woman has he not looted in Braj?
No.
Again, to support Parkiya Bhav. Batu, married woman.
What?
Latu.
Is that poem in your book on Rasakan?
Mm-hmm.
That one's there?
Yes.
I have your book, so
I'll
look up that poem.
Fine,
There's a smell of the Sringaras in the Brahma Medor Yo Purana Nagayan Vedaricha Suti Chaguna Chaya.
Deka Tadura Vakunja Kutira Me Beta Palota Radika Payan. Total. Rasakana Batayan Aloga Lagayan. Deka Tadura Vakunja Kutira Me Beta Palota. There Krishna's massaging Radhika's feet. Ras Khan, of course, I always identified with Ras Khan because he was sort of outside of the Hindu Samaj, and sort of made his way into the Pushti realm. He was an individual. I don't think he hung out with many people. I think he stayed alone. Have you ever been to Ras Khan's Samadhi? Oh, you have to come and do the Gokul, man.
Yeah, when we
it's got a whole. He's a huge Samadhi, a very Alaukik stan. Really? The government made this.
Rasakan Samadhi is there.
Ras Khan, the government made like a 4-acre park out of it.
Wow.
Yeah. It's jungly mungly too. Yeah, you come to Gokul, I'll show you around. You'll be amazed to see Gokul. Gokul is.
I heard that part. My part was when.
Yeah, right. Well, you have to get me out of Giriraj. Every day I think, Chalo bhai, mujhe jana hai. I just, I might go next week.
Okay, when you're going, give me a call like a couple of days before and.
Yeah. I'll call you. I mean, for you, it's only it's a 30-minute drive.
Yeah.
And you're there, and you come in.
Yes, Prabhu. Absolutely.
मजा आ जाएगी.
मजा आ जाएगी.
मजा आ जाएगा भाई. गोकुल गांव ये गोकुल का पैरों न्यारो है भाई.
Yeah, Shyamdas Prabhu, he was saying that of all the places in Braj, that's the least changed.
Yes.
Since the medieval time in Braj, when the different palaces were built and everything, that village is more or less stayed as
look, see it soon, because things are changing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because the streets in Gokul are too small for cars. So no one can really drive there, cannot drive into the central portions easily. I mean, there is one road which goes through. But, again, Pushti was always very guptam, and they didn't want to show. There was, I read in was it Grouse's Mathura district memoir, was it? That some guy, was it the district magistrate, wanted to meet with the head Wallabh Kul from Gokul because he wanted to meet him. So he says, I refuse to meet him, but what does he want? He said, well, he is building a church. He said, fine, how much money does he need? So he would need like a alacrity. He said, give him a alacrity to build a church. I will not meet him. But they were like that. They were very concealed, better for worse. They always kind of lived, even look here, in this house here, Thakurji's mandir is here, right here.
Yeah.
Now, how many chokes do you have to walk through to get to this temple? 3 or 4. You have to go through 3 or 4 courtyards before you get into Thakurji's thing. They didn't display Krishna to the public. It was all kept, paroksvad. So that's just how they lived, Anyway, we're lucky to be sitting here.
Which is the mukhya ang of the Vallabh Sampradaya? Like for us it is Nam Sankirtan.
Seva.
Seva.
Thakurji Seva.
Thakurji Seva is a mukhya anga.
Mukhya. And within that comes, obviously,
all the others like angas of that. That's the angi and
the anga is, that's right. It's Thakurji Seva. Now listen, Wallabh says, Sevayam va katayam va yasya asakti drud bhave. Be attached to either Krishna's name. He says, Sevayam va katayam. So kata here means not only just discussion, kata means harinam kirtan as well. So he first puts seva, and then he puts kata or nam second. So he considers, he doesn't have a hierarchy because they are identical in that sense, but there is a slight juke
Do you know
towards seva.
what is the mukhya anga of Raganuga Bhakti?
Mukhya ang of Raganuga Bhakti. Is it Smaran?
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the end,
For us, the
too.
mukhya anga is smaran.
all right. So for that,
But it cannot be attained or perfected or relished without kirtan. So the smaran is done as it's the internal aspect of kirtan.
that's right. So we have the same thing.
But smaran
Actually,
is mukhya
seva. When I say seva, let me just clarify.
Our smaran is manasik seva.
Right. Our thing is right. Krishna seva sadakarya. Wallabhacharya says. Chaitasta pravanam seva tat siddhyetana vitaja tata. No. Krishna seva sadakarya. Always make Krishna seva. Manasi sa paramata. The supreme seva is manasi. Is when the mind and heart are spontaneously filled with Krishna's smaran, which are not sadhan based.
I just remembered a very interesting praman in regard to Parakya Bhav, and that is Narad Bhakti Sutras. Narad Bhakti, it's only about 78 sutras or something, not so many sutras. And he describes, he says that Bhakti is Amrita Swarup, it's the embodiment of nectar, blah blah blah. And then he says the highest Bhakti is that Sarva Karya Acharata Krishnarte. You do everything for Krishna, Vismrite, in a state of forgetfulness, and Vira Akula. In this forgetfulness means in a state of forgetfulness that he is God.
That's right.
And feeling the anxiety of separation towards him.
That's what Wallabh follows.
And then Narad Muni says, Yata Gopikanam. Yata Gopikanam. And then in the next sutra, he says something like, it says...
From Vyabhachar.
No, it says Jara Bhav.
Jara
So Jara means a woman who's married and has another lover. That's called Jara. So the Parakya Bhav of being married,
it's from Bhagavad.
Tameva Paramatmanam Jara Buddhyapi Sangata in the Ras Lila.
Antagaragatas.
Yeah. So Jara Buddhyapi, even though he was Paramatma, the gopis had Jara Buddhi, which means they're married to someone else and they're secretly meeting with him.
Right.
So it's in the Bhagavatam and in Narad Bhakti Sutra, directly Jara Buddhi.
Yeah. Now, what's really interesting about that, I'll tell you what the Wallabh interpretation on it. Wallabh follows the Bhakti Sutra almost to the pen. He says, Prapanch Vismrti Evam Bhagavat Asakti Iti Nirod. To forget the world and to become attached to God is Nirod, and the Viraha is totally throughout Wallabh's. He has a lot to say about the Jar Bhav of what is called the Antargata, which comes in the Bhagavad. They're called Antargata. They remained in their homes. because they were stuck in their homes. The story is very simple. They looked, although they didn't see Krishna as Paramatma, they saw him as their illicit lover, and they got stuck in their homes, and they were not able to get out because they were stopped by their Patisudan Baya. Right? They were stopped by their lokic situation, and then in one breath they samaptified all of their pious karmas, in the next breath all of their impious karmas, and then it seems like they left their bodies. That's right. Yeah, there the Bhagavata's not clear, but it seems like the Wallabh goes on and on there. These were Madhyam Adhikaris. Because
there was, for us, we say there were sadhaks.
They were sadhaks because they didn't experience Ras Leela in the Jagat. And so therefore they did not receive the supreme phal of taking human birth, which is to experience Krishna with your senses, not only with your Atma, with which the other gopis did, who actually made it to the forest. And he considers them to be far more uttam. So in that sense, there is a adhikar beda between the various gopis in the Bhagavad.
That verse says that. What is that? It says, Joho Gunamaya Dayam.
That's right.
They gave up their body that was made of the gunas. So our acharyas have commented that they were in their previous life sadhaks, and they'd come up to the level of Prem, and they entered the Leela. And then Jogamaya superimposed the body of 3 gunas on top of their spiritual body. And then they were married to their husbands. And their husbands touched only the Gunamayi Deha. And when they couldn't go, they gave up the Gunamayi Deha, so everyone thought they were still at home. And in their spiritual forms, they went to the rest of it.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Wallabh doesn't take it like that. He follows more sort of the ordinary meaning. What happened was that they did not make it to the Ras, and that's why they are called Antar Gata Gata. That's where they got stuck. They got stuck in their home. So that
there's a Dvija Patni who gets stuck in the home, right? And she passes away. She gives up her life, and Krishna mentions her later in his teachings to Uddhav in the 11th canto.
Sure.
He says, "Oh, there was one wife of a Brahmin, and she was stopped from coming to me, but she got to me spiritually, but not there and then in that one." But what is that verse? The Tivra Tapa Dauta Ashubha, by the intense pain of separation, they were cleansed. Tivra Tapa Dauta means they were cleansed of Shubha and Ashubha and Nivrityakshina Mangala. And their Mangala, they're inauspicious. Their auspicious was it's Shina. It means it diminished down to nothing. It was diminished down to nothing by nirvritya, by joy, because they embrace Krishna in their hearts. Achyuta Shlesha. They did the Achyuta Shlesh in their hearts, and they felt such joy embracing him inside that their mangal, it seems to be their good karmas, was reduced to nothing. And by the fire of separation, then the Ashubha was destroyed. So generally the Ashubha and the Mangal are considered to be their pious karma, their good karma, and their bad karma. However, our acharyas, some of our acharyas, they have said that the karmas of a sadhak are destroyed in the stage of Madhyamadikari practically. When he comes up to Nishta, Ruchi, a Sakti like that, his karmas are already destroyed. And Bhav comes. So what to speak of a Sadhan Siddha Gopi who was a sadhak before and entered the Leela, they don't have any karma. And therefore we cannot accept that the word Ashubha means bad karma and Mangal means good karma. And therefore we have to take this as a type of alankar, poetic alankar that Shukadeva Goswami is using. And basically what he's saying is that their inauspiciousness was that Ashubha, it doesn't say who's Ashubha. It just says Ashubha. It doesn't say who it belongs to.
It's implied.
Was washed away by the pain of separation is a poetic metaphor saying that if you take the pain and suffering of all the living entities in the universe for all time, past, present and future, and you add up the total of Ashubha, then that would be defeated by the pain that they felt in their separation at that moment. That's me. And then he says, Nivrita Shinamangala, and then when they embrace Krishna in their heart, in their meditation, here it's not Nivrita, it's Nivrita. Nivrita means Ananda. Then they felt so much Ananda that diminishes the combined effect of the joy that every living entity has ever felt in the entire universe. Because it doesn't say who's Shobha and who's Mangala. So Vishwanath Thakur takes it to be the entirety of Shobha and the entirety of Mangala as a poetic metaphor to explain how much pain they felt in separation and how much joy they felt by that internal meeting. Nice tika.
It doesn't. But in the end, they according to Bhagavad, they didn't make it physically.
But they didn't die, right? Because you were saying, unclear. You said if someone died on the evening of the Ras Lila, it would be Rasa Bas. Because when I heard you say that, our Acharya said the same thing.
Right. So it's left unclear what happened to them.
So our Acharyas say that the Gunamaya Deya was left behind, and in a spiritual form they went there.
Also, the Ashubha, some Acharyas say, is adherence to the scriptural quotations. So that Ashubha was, they were fully purified, but they had some attachment to scriptural understanding that leaving the houses or disobeying the husband.
That is, whose commentary is that? Is that Jiva Goswami?
I think Jiva Goswami Prabhu.
Yeah, I think Jiva Goswami, he said that their separation, because they were thinking, should I go, should I not go, and everything. Yeah. And then the separation increased their love to the point where whatever attachment they had to the scriptural regulations, it was completely washed away. And in regard to the Mangala, the Kshina Mangala, what is auspicious for them? What is auspicious for them is that they had association with Nitya Siddha Gopis. But they felt dependent upon them. And so they would not go without them. But the joy that they felt made them give up their feeling of dependence on any others, and by themselves they quickly went there to meet with him. And so that's another interpretation of the Ashubha and the Mangala.
Wallabh is pretty straight on this. Jarbhav. They didn't understand Bhagavan in his Purushottamness. They understood him as an illicit lover. And this was their immaturity, spiritually.
Although they should have seen him as Bhagavan?
They should have seen him as Bhagavan and then had the Parkiya Bhav on top of that. But they did not have that crumb yet. So therefore, they were Uttam, Uttam, Madhyam. In that sense. Because they did not experience Ras Leela. Now the Sukshma.
Is that common in a goddess?
Yeah,
okay,
very much.
I'll look at
There's
that.
a lot. I wrote a lot on it.
Oh, she read it.
What it is that, and so that they are Uttam Madhyam because the supreme reward for Pushti practitioners, Krishna consciousness, I guess you could call it, is a subject of the Jagat. It's a subject of the world. It's not when in Mukti state. The road is something experienced there. So they did not experience Krishna in the world, although they attained him. So therefore they were not quite as exalted as the other gopis who did understand Krishna from the Praman, Pramay, Sadhan, and Phal Krama. They did not have that crumb. So they were Uttam Madhyam. And look at the text. I've written quite a bit on it. Like that.
I'll have a look at that.
Yeah, I mean, all of the interpretations are quite interesting. Wallabh follows.
That's my homework. And your homework is that quote on Shukadeva Goswami.
Shukadeva, I don't know, man. I have to do a search.
In the Varta literature, that's a big search. But you said there's a place. There's an exact place.
I think. Okay. Maybe I heard it, and that's why I'm thinking because the Varta literature is filled with so many incredible stories.
Not the Varta literature. You said there's another literature.
There is a Puranic thing which Dwarkesh Baba mentioned yesterday.
Yeah, but that doesn't connect it necessarily with Braj.
No, it doesn't.
You said there's one Tika. It was Nandan's, that's it.
Yeah, Nandadas. Nandadas.
Braj Bas translation of the Bhagavad. That's the one.
That's right. Now, he talks a lot about Shuk, but I don't know whether he explains Shuk as a parrot in the Brahma. I think he just goes on about the greatness of Shuk.
Well,
I don't
just
think
have a look there, see.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that one. Yeah, it's in the Nandadas Granthavali.
Mangalati is approaching quickly. I want to say a very, 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 very loud Jai Shri Radhe in gratitude to Shyamdas Prabhu.
No,
Jai!
Jai Ho.
Jai Ho.
That's a good way to spend your life, huh? And watch out, yeah. Everyone watch out here, otherwise
Yes.
we don't want you to be...
It's a very
Can I get one of these?
Take it.
I'll study carefully.
Yeah, this